The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
He said he was done forever.
He is done.
The end of this Trump era.
There'll be new faces and new voices.
The final chapter of Donald Trump.
I don't know what the future of this party can be.
The movement we started is only just beginning.
The entire system went after him.
Mar-a-Lago was raided by FBI.
New York indictment.
A sweeping indictment in
Donald
Georgia.
Trump says he's been indicted again.
I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear.
But he never stopped fighting for you.
I will never stop fighting for you, your family, and our magnificent country.
And we will win, win, win. We're going to win, win, win.
Thank you, President Trump, for fighting for us. The greatest political comeback in American history.
Donald Trump has been elected president.
Now, it's time we fight for you.
The golden age of America, that's what we have.
The best is yet to come. Coming this spring to MXNBC, a groundbreaking series that will change the U.S. government and the world forever. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, under the direction of former star of The Apprentice, Donald Trump, will challenge 3 million contestants to carry their load or hit the road. That's right. We'll be asking every government employee to prove their value.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Just like in a good old-fashioned meritocracy.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming in.
What would you say it is that you do around here?
I mean, a lot of days I really do stuff. It's just there's not that much going on today.
I helped Tanner and Blaze replace those heavy 5-gallon water containers.
Tune in each week as Elon and Vivek measure every federal employee's value and efficiency.
And time. So your study on how cocaine enhances the sex drive of Japanese quail, what's that worth to the American taxpayer?
I think it's priceless.
And get ready for the savings, as those that don't make the cut get shown the door.
The president wants to tell you something.
Firstly, thank you for coming in today, and second, you're fired.
The Emmy Award-watching viewers of Deadwood and Idiocracy present Doge Days, the purge of the U.S. government.
There is a whole forest of dead wood out there. We got to get chopping, buddy.
Well, hello. Welcome to Team Shit Show 2.0. And tonight, I guess it's going to be Chris with me tonight. I don't think Dawn is going to be able to make it. I don't know, if she will. She might drop in. I don't know. We'll see. But we're just going to talk about some of his updates on some of the things that they've been working on. And maybe he'll give us a little more backstory about, what's been going on and how he got involved or whatever. And what we might be seeing in the future. So, hey, hi, Chris.
Hey, Janet. Thanks for inviting me again. I always love doing shows with you. Not sure about Dawn.
So, what do you have you want to talk about tonight? About some of the things that's been going on, even if it's not about, the vitamins or whatever it is, and what you're doing.
I've been kind of resting around the house and trying to avoid media. It's a real exciting time right now, and there's still a lot of negativity out there, and I'm trying to just stay away from that for a minute. It's been a long fight, and grateful to see Trump in the White House, and really grateful about a lot of these executive orders coming down. They're already fighting them in court, and
Yeah, I think they had a court case ready, right? The day he was sworn in, they presented it, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
About the illegals, supposedly the one I heard about, the sanctuary city.
They're
be able to not have to hand over people.
Yeah, I think that I think they've bent our Constitution up so much that they're too confused to go back and look at the literal words in there. If you're here illegally, you don't have rights. And if you're in that situation and have a child here, that child is not going to have rights either. All of this stuff is pre-established in law, where they would send the parents and the child away. Now, a prime example of that is Kamala Harris. They were working on illegal visas here and then moved to Toronto because of all the pressure they were getting in the United States over their illegal status and the fact that they had a child. So, you know, she was raised in Canada and then came back here to run for office. And so we basically elected someone in that status, which really kind of messes everything up. It sets a precedent that it will be hard to, correct that. But I'm looking at the way they manipulated our Constitution. You know, they took away, the Patriot Act took away our Fourth Amendment. They're trying like hell to take away our Second Amendment. They're nipping away at it.
If you think about it, just think about it, how good they are at rallying you up, making you afraid, and then all of a sudden having a bill to pass that's going to save you. You know what I mean? They start a problem, they make a problem, and then they get you to pay for it as the tax dollars, saying it's going to help your life and make you safer, when it never does. And it's already been set up for them to do it in the first place, basically, if you look into it.
The most egregious statement made in the 21st century was when Nancy Pelosi stood in front of the House as the speaker and said, don't worry about reading this bill, just pass it and we'll find out what's in it later. And it was just full of egregious acts against humans.
It was like 4,000 pages. And she said, you have to pass it before you can see what's in it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the same people. That sounds like, that's smart, isn't it? For people to do that. If, let's say, I ran my household that way, I just don't worry about, who cares how much money's in my bank account? I got to go buy groceries. It doesn't matter whether I have that money in the bank. I'm just going to buy the stuff. It's just, that's how stupid it sounds. But nothing happened. See, we keep electing these same people. And I've been reminded again in this last week when we do me airing the confirmation hearings, and I don't even have to look at the screen. I just listen to the questions and you can tell who they are, what side they're on and what they're for. It's either bash Trump all the time. Are you going to do this? Are you going to make Trump hold the letter of the law? Are you going to stop Trump from breaking the law? Are you going to stop Trump from this? You're going to stop Trump from that. And none of these people said diggity squat when Nancy Pelosi was saying, you got to pass it if you want to see what's in it. And then they'd say stuff like, well, are you going to make sure you're going to help the kids when it comes to the farming bills, blah, 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 to make sure they get whole milk and better meals at school, all this different stuff, when we've been trying to do that for years, but the Democrats are always saying, no, you can't do it that. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's disgusting. I just get sick to my stomach. I can barely sit there and listen to some of these people spew their bullshit over and over and over again, and they just keep getting elected over and over and over again. And I don't understand how it's possible that these people just keep getting reelected when they've done nothing but spend money. You go out in your streets and there's needles and homeless people, zombie looking people running around, crime through the roof, people getting raped, people getting robbed, your car being broken into, your home being broken into, all this stuff. And they just say, well, if we had more money, we could hire more cops. But we can't arrest anyone unless they steal over $900 worth of stuff. And, all this bullshit. And it's like, when is people going to open their eyes and realize it's bullshit? And if you don't stand up and say, fuck you, we ain't doing this anymore, that nothing's going to change. It's going to just get worse and worse and worse. And this is what we're handing over to our children and our grandkids. Your grandkid can't even walk to the park and play because they're going to get run over, assaulted, kidnapped, raped, beaten, robbed, any of these things. They're never going to even make it to the park. You probably never see your kid again because they'll take it and make it a slave somewhere. That's what we're handing over to our kids. That's not me making a big stink or making it up. This is from factual information every day. All you got to do is get on the news and look at any Democrat city, and what do you see? They got high fences around the rich people's homes, separating you from the poor people. Okay. And they don't give a crap what happens to you as long as it doesn't happen to them. But now you're starting to see some of them waking up because look, the fires are burning their homes down now. So now it's starting to affect them the way that the city and the states have been running their areas. They're realizing they weren't spending the money where the money was supposed to go. Hey, Dawn.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I did not know we were live. I'm sitting here eating and everything, thinking that we go live in 10 minutes. I didn't realize we were live for 12 minutes.
No, it's okay. We were a little bit late. We were just talking, and I was like, oh, it's time for us to start. So whatever. But welcome again. I was just going on a rant about me doing live streams the last few days on the confirmation hearings and how you can just sit and listen without even seeing their name or anything, just by the questioning.
It's disgusting, isn't it? The way some of those people act. I mean, did you hear Adam Schiff? He literally named everything that he did and then said how horrible it was, and he didn't want to vote for that person because he was afraid they might do it. I thought, I'll be damned. You know, they upheld his censor after that testimony.
Wow.
They did a quick vote and upheld his censorship after that. And they're like, dude, we censored you. That meant you can't even talk anymore. And this is why we did it. I mean, he was hell on Pam Bondi, and then he was hell on the DNI and now CIA director Radcliffe. You know,
yeah, but today they did the agriculture person, and there was another one. I'm trying to remember. I can't even remember right now because I've had so much stuff going on. But I've been trying to air every single one just so people can have the chance to listen, not so much for the position that they're doing, but just the questioning and how the questioning goes, and then trying to twist it around and make it look like everything was so wonderful the last 4 years. And every single time they talk about the illegals that have come over the border, and oh, you got to make sure that Trump doesn't just take our farmers, workers away. And I was putting questions up there like, okay, if you're a farmer and you got to pick a bunch of stuff, okay, and you have all these illegals coming and picking your fruit, why don't you sign them up then when you're giving them a paycheck or your cash or whatever, how much you're giving them, make them fill out the paperwork so they can start working towards becoming a citizen. It's that simple. Unless all these people are paying them under the table, they're paying them $5 or less an hour because they don't. That's why they can't find people to pick their crops, because nobody wants to. No normal person like me that has to pay their bills is going to be able to go and afford $5 an hour to pay their bills. See, now when you got 20 families living in a 5-bedroom house together, yeah, that's a lot of money when you have all those people bringing home $5 an hour. All paying for that, whatever apartment it is. But the people renting to these people, the people giving them jobs, they should all be arrested. That's how I look at it. If they know they're illegal and they're paying them under the table, they're breaking the law.
Hey, but Janet, they all got brand new cars sitting in the driveway, all 20 of them, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. And new cell phones. It's so funny. I was watching all these videos of them crying about how they're going to be deported and stuff. And they're all holding an iPhone 16 or better, a $900, $2,000 phones in their hands. Where did they get this? If they just came crawling over the border because they have no life. You see, it's ridiculous. And how come people feel sorry for them when I have veterans that are in the street that are scruffy and dirty and they live in the street.
Right.
And it's snowing. I mean, down in New Orleans where people used to sleep under bridges and stuff and halfway houses. I mean, there's a foot of snow down there right now.
Right.
It's in cold. I mean, it's so funny. I've been seeing all these memes. It says Donald Trump, within 2 days of him being president of the United States, he stopped global warming. Basically, like that everywhere. So, people are laughing about it. And then him saying that he wrote an executive order calling it the Gulf of America. So every federal paper, map or whatever, anything to do with the federal government is going to say Gulf of America on it, which is going to take me a little bit to get used to, but I think it's great. I mean, why not? We own almost all the land on the Gulf. Why shouldn't it be named after us in our country? You know?
Well, let me share my story about immigration, because it's kind of a different perspective, but it developed over years and years. So my growing up years, I was American in Japan. And then I never lived east of the Mississippi until I was a teenager. And I lived in very migrant, affluent towns, San Antonio, Texas. And so I came to Georgia, and that's when I found racism. It was really crazy. I didn't know racism before that. And it was mostly hatred by the black people over the white people. Historically, Augusta, Georgia never had legal slavery. They did have a port where they would bring slaves up the river, but they couldn't buy or sell them until they moved them out of Richmond County. And that's because Queen Charlotte was black and she wasn't going to tolerate slavery. So I've lived all over the world. I've been the immigrant or the foreign national working in another country, and I know how people feel about these things. And I've always thought America was very loving. So in my 40s, late 40s, I bought a farm up in, my back property line was the Kentucky border. And there was nothing but farms around me. I had a little house in the woods. It was just sectioned off a big farm. It was real nice. But I got to meet all these farmers and how they do their business. And they had these old school buses they'd cram full of people, and they'd go pick, work with corn or whatever was coming up at the time. So maybe right at the beginning of COVID, I had to go to the VA triage unit over something. I can't remember. It wasn't anything serious, but I had to go down there, and this man was sitting in there, and he was telling me that his son had this cough and couldn't get rid of it and blah, blah, blah. But we started talking, and he was the state representative over the welfare of migrants. And I had a lot of attitudes about all of that at the time. I sort of saw they were being mistreated with my own eyes. But when this man and I started talking about migration and the fact that it is an economic need that we have, right? It needs to be reworked, the entire immigration system, because we're such an old country now. We're not trying to overload ourselves with people. Irish people were immigrants, and they were hated. And I'm descended from Irish. My last name is Irish. So after this conversation with him, when I heard about the horrors, the living in abandoned farmhouses, 30, 40 of them in a room on windy, rainy nights, rats in there, having to go to the bathroom in holes they made in the floor, and not having food to eat and all of this stuff. My humanitarian side of me realized that it wouldn't be harmful to be a devil's advocate in the restructuring of all of this migration stuff, because I don't care what anybody says, those people have every right to live as I do. Now, I think terrible mistakes were made. With what we've spent on immigration in the last 4 years, we could have taken that money and sent it to these countries where these people were fleeing because they didn't say that they were safe. Well, I'm of that school of, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. And if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And if we would have used that theory, then the money that they took from us as taxes would be supporting life and livestock growing and oil being in their countries becoming more wealthy so that they could have fair systems. So I'm more of a let's get out here and come up with a solution and change things. And there are places that it could be fixed and changed. And I'm kind of like Elon. Elon supports immigration. I support immigration. What I don't support is emptying jails of rapists, murderers, thieves, and radicals and sending them to America. That is not even immigration. That is an invasion And we have got to define the difference between how
Well,
we
the
were
thing
invaded
is,
versus
when
how
you-
we have migrants.
When you have people that just walk over the border, okay, and the way they were doing it, they had buses for some people, and they would give them white jumpsuits to put on, and then they would give them Visa cards, and they'd give them airplane tickets they take them right to the airport and fly them to Ohio and other states. Okay,
You know,
so
the
it was
day
like they knew who they were. Wait just one second. It's like they knew who they were, but then on top of that, when they would send all these people to these different cities, like in Oregon or Washington State, New York, and they started committing crimes, like in the subway and attacking, robbing people, breaking in their homes, raping people, killing women, and other people. And the people of the town that they sent them all to are up in arms, going to the courthouse saying, what the hell? You're bringing these people in, you're giving them our money, you're putting them in hotels, you're treating them like kings, and you're letting them attack us, and they're not doing shit. They're just sitting there. What are they afraid of? Are they afraid they're going to take their checks? I don't know what it is. If somebody moved in, there's a website right now that you can get on, and you can look and see if there's a registered sex offender that lives next door to you or across the street, so that you can take your children to school, and you can know where these people are supposedly at. But you don't have anything like that to know where these illegals are in your neighborhood and whether they've raped and murdered or killed, or you don't know anything because they don't know anything, and they don't want to share it with us because they knew. If we knew that they're bringing 25 gang members that were just let out of prison, covered with gang signs and shit, doing flash and shit or whatever, that we would say, hey, what the hell are you putting them in my neighborhood for? I got 4 kids and I'm a single mom, stuff like that. But nothing. I haven't heard an uproar of any people griping about these people bringing the plague over the border, that none of them have been vaccinated even since they were born, for whooping cough or anything. Okay, we don't know what they have because they're just bringing them in and throwing them in our towns. They're not even, we don't know shit about them. And what's really bad is that most of them are young men. They're not kids, they're not women, they're not grandmas, they're young military age men.
Yeah, they're part of the invasion force. We've had this migrant farmer thing going on since I was a little kid in Texas, okay, in the 60s. This invasion, which was orchestrated by George and Alex Soros, is what brought the people that you're talking about in. Okay, a lot of good people came across that border, right? The problem is the good ones are going to have to be extradited with the bad ones and sent home, because it wasn't organized or well thought out. And I just want to mention, I know for a fact other people did the same thing I did because I ran into them doing it. But on Fort Sam Houston, Texas, at my father's funeral, on a military base, I was asked to give up my room. They said it had already been rented, right? This is the day of my dad's funeral now. He was 2 presidents, doctors. He ain't no small guy. And as I was walking out the door with my 40-year-old son, there was a bus of Jamaican migrants sitting out the front door. And then within that same period, I was working a homicide case down in Mobile, and I had to go down there, and one of the 2 hurricanes came through, Harold or one of these other ones, Isaac, some shit. And I couldn't get a hotel anywhere. I finally found one with a room, and there was no toilet paper in there. The bed was broken. There was animals walking around. I thought, hell, I had to stay there because it was really bad and I had nowhere else to go. So I got online and I called up the Days Inn, I think it was, and went to raising hell at them. And they said that's a condemned hotel. It's not even open. So I stayed an additional couple days to get to the bottom of what they were doing. And Kamala Harris had given them permission to use that, and we're letting them keep money. They charged me $250 for a room that didn't have toilet paper and had rats walking around in it. Now, I let Jesse Waters know this. Not only did he go to the hotel I had been out and bring that up, but his lawyer team and research team found over 50 of them like that. So they put an end to that. Now, I happen to be in that little town by Mobile, Theodore, Alabama, to charge my car. It just happened to be the charging point, the same town where this murder was committed. And I was sitting right there charging my car, and every one of those hotels I had bitched about had been rebuilt to brand new condition and had people in them. So, you know, I think people were complaining and getting crazy. Who wouldn't talk about all of this was legacy media, CNN, and all these people. But we well know that all they did was try to indict Trump and throw him in jail. They weren't telling the news. They were trying to be the news. And that's another huge flaw that we went through. You know, I'm not going to be resentful about all this. Trump is in office. We're going to have a golden age. They're going to continue to fight us with their radical satanic ideology, screwing children and homosexuality and whatever, which it's fine. People sin. I'm sure I sin, but, you know, I try to keep my sins simple, you know, and not destroy other people's lives with them. These people's sins destroyed lives. They killed people playing games with vaccines and biological weapons and all this other stuff. This is evil what happened. Evil. But we have a new day, and I'm not living in that evil anymore. We have walked through that wall, and I'm never going to look back. And I hope that while he's getting the criminals out of the country, we can keep enough people here for some infrastructure work. A group of hardworking Mexicans can build an entire neighborhood in 3 days. We have 4 military bases where all military housing had to be abandoned over black mold and leaky roofs and all this kind of stuff. We can use these people for our benefit. Some of them may be encouraged to join our military and then serve this country, which is an automatic road to citizenship. So I think if we offer the right benefits and the right, you know, things that can come out of them acclimating to this country, like Theodore Roosevelt said in the early 1900s, like Hamilton and Jefferson said in the 1700s, and the same way that Dwight David Eisenhower said it when he left office. There's a right way to do this, and if we do it the right way, it will benefit all Americans. It really will. Our birth rate is shot, you know, and we're not even the worst one. 4 countries right now are going down in population by the millions, in North and South Korea and Japan are 3 of those countries where they're literally in fear. They're not going to have enough people by 2050. So all of that stuff is deep. And when you get into trying to be fair and look at the entire thing for what it is, you have to look at, we have needs, they have needs. Let's make the best of this. But there's no right for anyone to be here who violated our laws intentionally. And then keep in mind, these people were baited up here. Here's a phone. When you come up here, you're going to get money and you're going to get that. They made promises they could not keep to people. How could they keep them? They were outlandish promises. Now we've been robbed. They've been cheated out of their lives in the countries that they loved, I'm sure. I mean, who wouldn't come for all that free shit? I mean, damn, you know, we can't get half of Generation X to go to work, right? And so there's a lot of complexity in all of this, really a lot. And I'm not all for it. I'm not all against it. I think we need a reasonable solution that will work for America and the humanity that needs help. But we need to send money to these other countries, train these people and let them go home and train their local people in all of our new technology, how to build roads and all these other things, and actually get the rest of the world into this golden age. And that's my hope.
Well, I was going to ask Dawn. She had sent me a few things and was talking to me about a few things in her our DMs. But I wanted Dawn to update everyone about the good news about what you found out about your vitamins and stuff to help people.
I guess we're going to have them probably out here really soon within the next 30 days, right, Chris?
Yep.
So, and so one person that I was treating that was on the show, I think last time with us, when I ran his blood through Grok, it was coming back that, because you take a picture and you put it on Grok and it will analyze the blood for you, believe it or not. I can't say it's 100% right, but when the first 2 slides that we introduced to Grok, they were coming back with leukemia, possible signs of leukemia and stuff like that in the blood. By the 3rd week, we submitted that slide and it came back with no signs of leukemia or nothing in the blood. So that was really positive.
Yeah, that's great news.
Right? I know, because if that was the case, that's huge, right? That's really huge. Right, Chris?
Yes.
And then, so today I also found some things. Have you guys ever heard of a, let me pronounce this right, okay, because I don't want to get it wrong. It is called let me get it right. Where is it? And I'm going to say it wrong. I know I am. Let me see here. Let me get it right. I just sent it to you, Chris, too, and also to you, Janet.
Okay.
It's called a tematode or a nematode. Hold on.
Yeah,
Let me get the
a
right.
nematode. I've heard of a nematode.
All right, not a nematode, but a telatode or what? Let me see. Let me get the right name here. Hold on. I know I'm not getting the right name to that. Teletodes, are they, Chris? Have you ever heard of them?
Teletubes?
Teletode. Hold on. Let me see here. Ugh, it's driving me nuts here. All right, tardigrades. T-A-R, I knew I was going to say it wrong. Tardigrades.
No, I never heard of it.
It's like that. Yeah, it's like a nematode or something like that. It's a little parasite.
Right. Okay. When I ran them through NCBI's database, I just sent you guys the nucleotode that's in them. Okay. When I asked AI if they're related to COVID, bam, bam. There's 6 of them, by the way, you guys, and bam, 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 bam. All 6 of them are related to COVID. One is even the way that the parasites. So I just sent this to you, and it says that is a reference to. It would be a possible related to the research of the virus of the pathogens into our body. Okay, so. And it's related to, if it's linked to the COVID-19, it could be sequence associated with the SARS-CoV-2 virus. All right. The next one that was on the toads or whatever, it says is a reference to a specific viral sequence related to the SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. Wow. That's huge, right? All 6 of these are related to. So I think we found our nice little worm there. But yeah, so pretty crazy how those are all linked to it. But
well, I copied the very first thing that you sent me, and I put it in the chat.
Oh, okay. Well, that's with the
PQ279018, and it says appears to be a reference to a specific protein or genetic sequence. So I put that in there. So anyone who wants to read all that, it's in there. So even when they come back to watch the recording, it's in the chat. So I'm gonna put it in there. Everyone.
Good. I'll send you all 6 of them too, Janet.
Okay, that's good. I'm going to keep sharing them in there. But the thing is that it's a lot of reading. So a lot of reading and having to listen to videos and look at pictures and stuff. But if you're willing to take the time out when you're not real busy, just sitting, resting, you got your feet up or whatever, in between doing loads of laundry or whatever you're doing. It's a good time to absorb some of this information, because then when they start talking about it, which I believe they're going to here very soon, you're going to understand a little more and it's going to sink in better, because you're going to say, oh, I heard about that. I remember her talking about that. And then you're going to be able to start putting more and more together and understanding it, because a lot of these people, when they first started, they didn't have a clue about any of it. They didn't understand one thing. And it was one day at a time of them absorbing information, reading, researching, before they started realizing, hey, these 2 things go together, just like what you've been doing. Right. Since the first day that you got yourself the microscope and you started looking, look how far you've come.
Oh, I know. It's huge. I think about it every day,
It's amazing.
Yeah, you're not lying. You're not lying. Also, I wanted to say too that another reason why they need to educate themselves is because then when things come up to be voted on, like the CRISPR Cas9s in our food, okay, and the farmers having to use it and stuff like that, and us public are uneducated and wouldn't know the difference between CRISPR Cas9s, but we would GMOs, but we don't the CRISPR Cas9s. That they would let the bill pass through, and these could edit our genes and change us and everything else. So, with that being said, we need to know that stuff to vote because that can really hurt us all. And nobody having any power over the CRISPR Cas9s, anybody could file for a license for this machine, and that's really scary because then it could fall into a lot of the wrong hands.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember telling you guys both that the very first time we ever talked together was I saw a couple of YouTube videos where they were talking to young people that had little sheds in their backyard. And one of the guys had ordered a bunch of stuff online, and he was doing a DNA, different sequencing and things like that with his dogs. Remember, he was taking some kind of glow in the dark DNA from like some kind of underwater deep sea creature that has a luminescence thing. And he was using that and injecting it into his dog, okay, his one dog, to see the eggs and the sperm glow under the microscope so that he could see whether or not he had gotten this dog pregnant with this new DNA sequence or whatever type thing. And he was doing this in his backyard.
Right. I don't think there's any rules.
No scientific background, but this guy was doing DNA stuff in his backyard in a shed.
That's called green tide, right? And
I don't remember what it was called, but
I'm telling you, explaining it. Listen,
how can that be legal?
Green tide, right? And
yeah.
Green tide is green in cool weather. When the ocean warms up, that turns into red tide, which is lethal. So when it gets inside the body and warms up like that, it's no longer that that cool luminescent. They're a little green, and you can see them in the water at night in the Florida coast sometimes.
Yeah, I've seen it. It looks like it's a glowing sea foam.
Yeah, that's the plankton that becomes red tide. And that plankton, once it becomes red tide and not green, luminescent, harmless plankton, it will kill a human in lickety split. So that's readily available to anybody that wants to play with it. But if you see it in the water, get out.
Doesn't that also like choke all the fish and stuff like that because it gets in their gills and stuff and they suffocate when it has a red tide? Isn't that what kills a lot of fish?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that your baby? Yeah, it's her puppy's barking in the background. I don't have a puppy.
Try to keep them quiet. There's a lot
of them.
It's
okay. It doesn't bother me. It's nice to hear a puppy bark every so often. But yeah, there's so many things that we are, just clueless to simply because we just don't happen to be in the right place at the right time to hear someone talking about it. Well, it doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means that you don't know about it.
Can we talk about those clips I got out of that season 6?
No, I haven't gotten them out yet. Do you want me to show one of them now?
Well, I mean, this would be a good time to let everybody know that they literally leaked this information out in 1999 in an X-Files show.
Yeah,
where they talk about nanoparticles, they talk about invented diseases, and they talk about vaccines. And I mean, that was 1999.
Okay. Make sure you got it turned up because it isn't really loud. I have as loud as I can on this thing, but I want to make sure you guys can hear it. Here we go. Now, this is a scene from the X-Files. So I'm going to show just a small portion of it, and then I'm going to pause it, and then I'm going to go a little bit more like that because I don't want them to throw a tantrum. But it's just funny how they're talking about it, and you could almost say, hey, I just heard someone talking about that the other day. You know what I mean? It's just really weird. So let's play it a little bit. Bit of work.
They killed him. What Odell knows died with him. Tell me what you know, Senator. This is not SRA-19, isn't it? What the hell did they put in, Skinner? You already have some idea, Fox. It's the same technology that SR-819 will export. Technology that the world believes is purely theoretical. Nanotechnology.
There you go.
Now, I ran that code up on the NCBI's database, and it's actually a gene that exists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's interesting. As a kid, we'll watch these sci-fi shows, like Star Trek and Star Wars and all this different stuff, and they got all these really cool lasers and all this different stuff. And then as we get older, all of a sudden they have that. So maybe, like my dad would tell me, because he was in the Air Force, and he told me that they had GPS back in the First World War.
Wow.
Different things like that. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, the government gets it. They get the technology. They use it for all kinds of secret ops. And then as they get that to be even better technology, they take the lower technology and they offer it to somebody, make a deal with them, and then they offer it to the public. See, that type of thing. And I was like, okay. And I tried to understand that as a little kid. I didn't know if it was real or not. But my dad had no reason to make it up and tell me, lies. When what was he going to get out of it? I'm just a dumb kid. You know what I mean? So he had no reason to make it up. But the thing is, as I've gotten older, and my life has been going on and seeing things, I'm realizing he wasn't lying. Because we're seeing more and more of it coming out, like drone technology. That one movie that wasn't out a few years ago, and it was some guy protecting the president, and it was a whole swarm of little drones that came after him, and they all had guns and stuff, laser beams or whatever that were coming out. Just all kinds of scary shit. And now we're seeing it. We're seeing it in parades where they do this whole show. Instead of using fireworks, they're using drones.
That's right.
And then look what just happened. What was it? Last month, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, with the drones all over New Jersey. And everybody's all freaking out over it. And I'm like, the government has to know what it is, or they would have already been taken down. Because if a plane or anything flew over the White House, it would never even get near the White House. It would have already been taken down with either a pulse or a laser or whatever. They would have taken it down. They weren't going to let it crash into the White House or to the Pentagon or any of these buildings normally. Now, that's why this whole thing that happened with the 9/11 shit, a lot of people said that was an inside job simply for the fact that they were able to crash something into the Pentagon, stuff like that. And to me, if you think about it and you listen to your military friends, your eyes start to open and your ears start to tingle, because you're like, this sure sounds realistic to me. You start opening your ears and your eyes, you learn a lot more than just by walking away and saying, no, thanks. I don't want to know. I don't want to know truth. Most people don't do that.
Janet, I wanted to just recap what I said back there a few minutes ago. This isn't like a cure, nothing like that. I can't label that as that.
Yeah.
There hasn't been enough research done on it, but it is something that can help somebody's blood. That is a major part. That is how we start to begin to heal. So it's just something out there that could really help a lot of people.
Well, when it does come out, I'd really love to have, the website, all that kind of stuff, because I'd like to help, and I'd put it on my channels and stuff for you to help people, because even though each person's going to want to take different things, because each person's going to need the different vitamins, depending on what they feel they need, right? Just like anyone takes vitamins now. So that way, if you have a website, would they be able to send you messages and say, hey, this is really helping me, or I still feel like this. Do you have another suggestion? That kind of stuff.
Another thing too is that I would recommend to everybody getting their blood done, live blood analysis done when they're getting the herbs done. Most likely you'll be able to tell right away if the herbs are working for you or not through your blood. So if they go do a live blood smear,
where would they be able to do that?
Well, I'm not licensed to do them, but I do them. But that's just for research, okay, or something like that. But so they could go anywhere in their neighborhood as long as it's illegal in their state, but and get a live blood analysis. They're like $150 for one. $120. And so there's licensed people that are licensed and trained to read blood, and I would recommend them use one of them.
Okay.
And if they have questions or something, I can help them out on trying to find one for them too.
And they'd probably be able to find that online.
Right.
If you're looking for someone that will do that kind of analysis for them, just get online and look it up and try to find someone close to you and go and have it done. And then and please let her know. They would be happy to know how it's helped you. Because they want to help people. That's all we want. We want people to feel better and get healthy, eat right, be able to live a long, healthy life that you deserve. And we want to help you be able to achieve that. But the only way to do that is by you taking initiative for yourself and deciding, I want to get better by taking some different things for my life, whether it's changing your diet, working out, trying to get more rest, reducing your stress level, which is one of the things I'm like, well, I don't know how to do that yet. I'm working on it. But we all need to do those things.
Janet, about the feedback loop, the gentleman that we're working with, Lance, started a company called Ascent because his father was a veteran and they had him on, antipsychotics and antidepressants and all. He took his life, and Lance made it his life mission to come up with natural medicines that would help people without causing these problems. And they have a tremendously professional website, feedback loops. We'll be selling it through them. And he's really making this really easy for us. It's just, we just had to come up with the money.
Which we did.
Yep. Great job, Dawn.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, that's good. I mean, the thing is that the fact that you started not having a clue about any of it, you just knew that something wasn't right. And you just wanted to find a way to find out what it was and maybe how you could fix it.
Right.
And you did it.
Yeah,
Okay.
the hospitals or doctors weren't even going to look at it.
And you met Chris on your way, and you guys got together and you banged heads and you came up with a great solution. And who knows what you're going to add to it? You know what I mean? So I'm just happy that, I bumped into Chris one day and we were talking about stuff and he started telling me a little bit about it. And I was like, well, I want to talk to her. I want to have her on my show because it's interesting and I want to help people. I want everyone to have the opportunity to help themselves. And if they don't know about it, they can't. You know what I mean? So one person at a time, but if we can get them to see it and let them listen and decide for themselves what choices they want. And everyone should have a choice, whether they want to or not. They shouldn't be forced to do it, but they should have the option to do it if they decide they want to.
Yeah, and another thing too is, I'm all about not just hearing, but seeing. All right, I've heard enough of, this works and that works. But then when I go and test those things in the microscope and I see that they don't work, I'm like, oh, no. I got to see it to believe it. And even then you still question it. I'm still questioning, am I really seeing what I'm seeing? But I am. But I have doubts of hearing things. Like I've heard so much through COVID in so many spaces and stuff, and people giving false information and misleading information that it really breaks my heart because these people are out there relying on these people to help them.
Well, that's the same thing like what Chris was saying about him having leukemia. He knows he was diagnosed at the doctor's office.
Yeah.
So, if it can help him and make him healthier, and he can tell that it's making him feel better, that's all that matters. You know what I mean?
And then there's also my mom too, that has a rare blood cancer that when I looked at her blood under the microscope, I see her blood is identical to mine and my sister's. And I'm like, oh gosh, we all can't have cancer, do we? And so then I did the grandbabies. I'm like, oh crap, they've got it too. Like, oh crap. Like, so, but then I was like, no, wait, this isn't cancer. So when I treated my mom's blood too with it, her blood went to normal too. And she was taking leukemia pills or, not leukemia pills, but radiation or chemo pills every day for 2 years.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing too, right there, that I saw her blood go back to being normal immediately. And I was like, what? So.
But did she feel better?
Yes. Yeah.
See, that's the difference. A lot of people, they're taking all kinds of medicines for, you know, for their heart or for their kidneys or diabetic medicine or different things like that. But they go, I still feel like shit, you know, no matter what I do. So trying to find a way to make yourself feel like you have energy again, whether it's changing your diet or more, adding a little bit of exercise, getting actual sunshine on your skin. There's so many different things that we can add to our lives on top of vitamins or changing your diet. It just makes you feel better. And what we're doing right now is one of the best things that anyone can ever do is sitting with someone you like to be with and talking.
Right.
That's one thing a lot of people lost because of COVID. They weren't allowed to go see their friends. They weren't allowed to go to places they normally would have. And they're sitting there when they do go out, they're having to wear a mask. So you don't get any facial expressions. You don't get any smiles. People lost out. And a lot of people lost huge gaps in their lives because they didn't get to spend the last moments with someone that they lost, you know, and they're never going to be able to get that back. So we got a lot of people that got to heal from the inside out, basically, starting with their
I think
heart.
Donald Trump did a great justice when he said every soldier who was thrown out of the army for refusing comes back with pay, because you're talking about over this period of time in $150,000 range, right? That act will prevent the military from ever making this mistake again. You know, but they pardoned Milley. They pardoned. Where's that going to go? It's up in the air right now. What I'm hearing in my circles is they're going to continue to prosecute. And both Jamie Comer and who else was on that show? Might have been Rand Paul, one of them, said that they are going to. Oh, it was Jim Jordan. This was today. And they said they are pursuing this matter. That, you know, whatever. You can't give someone a blanket pardon for no crimes that were committed. So they're going to come up with the crimes to say, well, this is what you got pardoned.
Oh, yeah, blanket pardon. Yes.
Yeah. So that was a huge move. And I've already heard that, okay, so Bill Gates put $10 million in. I think that Bezos has added a little bit. And they're working on these people who basically owned all these tech companies who censored us and all this, and they're going to make them pay all of us. So the military was the first
What
move.
was the guy's name that owns Facebook again?
Zuckerberg.
Okay, now Zuckerberg, I wasn't that happy about it when I saw Zuckerberg and his wife sitting right there with a bunch of the people.
Yeah, but Chan was involved in the development of the vaccine, and he's coming forward to go, hey, I was wrong. See, what he did when he censored everybody was far beyond the unethical that anyone understands, because his wife produced this medicine and then they hid the dangers of it. And they were all working in cahoots. You have to keep in mind, 90% of all the profit from this
Zuckerberg
people
admitted, and he lied under oath too. He lied under oath when he said a lot of the things that he said that he didn't do, and that nobody made him do anything, and they you know, all these different things that he was saying. And now he's coming out saying he felt threatened. He felt like he was coerced into doing it against his will. And then he hired all these people to look at my stuff. Remember what I said? The reason why I left Facebook was because I saw a picture of a Antifa person with a knife to the throat of a cop on their knees. A drawing. It was just a cartoon, but you could tell, you can see cartoons and tell what they are. And blood was shooting out. And I reported it. I said, this was offensive. Okay, but I'm a Christian, and I say lots of stuff on my profile about my point of view as a Christian and conservative, right? And they said, well, it's artistic expression. So I said, oh, that's bullshit. So I took that picture and I had somebody help me swap it around and make it look like the cop was cutting the Antifa's throat. And then I had them side by side on my timeline, and they said I had to take it down. And I was like, why? it's artistic expression. They said, no, it's offensive. And I said, why is this one not offensive, but this one is? See, that to me was total bullshit, because they were saying one thing about one picture, but not the other. When it's the same picture, they're doing the exact same action. See what I mean? I got so upset that I started deleting everything off of my Facebook, every single thing. And I changed my picture to Bill Clinton in a blue dress that was on Epstein's wall in his house. And then I changed my name to Lynn, and I just slowly deleted everything. Every single thing, all the way down to when I first started Facebook, because I didn't want to leave anything on there. And guess what? That was back in, what was it, 2020, right before 2020, when he was elected. And I haven't had it since. And I keep getting emails saying someone's trying to log into your Facebook account. So they didn't even delete it, even though I deleted it. But it's still there. The numbers are there because they don't want to lose all the people that left in droves and went to Parler. And that's why they took Parler down. And I really do believe that. And I will not go back to Facebook. I don't care if he donates $1 billion to whatever organization. I don't trust him now. I do not trust the way he ran the place. Anyone that will throw children under the bus simply because I was told I had to not tell the truth, and not let the people say that and only be one-sided, is someone I will never trust. I just don't trust anyone. I won't trust that again. I'll never put myself in that position to be lied to again. And I wish more people would, when they open their eyes, would look and say, I'll let you around, I'll have you around, but I'm never going to put my trust into you again. I'll accept you to be in my presence, but I'm not going to ever put myself out there for you. It's gone. You betrayed me. And I'm sorry. I just won't do it. But that's me. I'm very stubborn, and I admit it. I'm not perfect, but I can't help it. I just can't close my eyes. I'm that kind of person that, I'm never going to put my back to that person now, because I'll turn around and I'll have 5 knives in it. I just know it. That's just how I am.
Side.
Huh?
Not to him, or your front side, not to him anyway.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. I'm sure you understand. I listen to you talk a lot, and I really think that you know exactly what I'm talking about. You just hard to ever get that trust back. I mean, I don't see how anyone can once you've been betrayed like that. And what he did to all the people that made his app huge. He betrayed everybody on there by lying to them. Every single person. I don't care if the person worked for him or not. When a person takes a job knowing they're taking their rights away from this group of people, but not to the other people that are doing exactly the same thing, just like that Antifa picture, that's wrong. And I can't sleep at night knowing if I've done that to people. I just couldn't do it. I wasn't raised that way.
And they shouldn't be allowed to sleep at night neither, just FYI.
I know, and that's what's scary. You think about it. You've got millions of people that were willing to stab you in the back or, take you out for a little bit of money, a prestige, or whatever the reason is behind it, but that you can't do it to them. You see what I mean? You are wrong because you want to do it the same thing that they just did to you back to them.
Right.
I don't know. To me, I just don't understand it. I want to understand it. But then my mom would always say, if you understand the way they think and why they do this, then you're no different than them. So that's what my mom would tell me. I don't know if anybody else would agree with that or not. But it's just sad. But I am hopeful now. I am hopeful with everything that Trump has done the last few days. It's been like a little bit of chaos because it's like dang, just so much stuff going on. But we'll know within 6 months whether or not that what he's doing. And once he gets all his people, on his cabinet, and they got their little teams working on the different stuff, that's what I'm waiting for. That's why I've been doing these live streams with the confirmation hearings and stuff, because I want the people who actually are getting to watch it see what kind of questions were asked of these people. And when these people said, I'm going to do this, and this with Trump, and then they go in there and they don't do it, you heard him say it yourself, like watching it. See, so I can say this person said this, and I have video now. I have it all recorded live because I did it on the streams. And all I have to do is go back to my bookmark and say they said this, this, and this, and they haven't done any of those things. See, I can bring that up later on, because just because they're conservative, right? Anyone can say anything. I can say I'm a Christian, then go out and do horrible stuff against animals and people. That would prove that I'm not a Christian, because I'm not living as a Christian. See what I mean?
Yep.
So I want to have something to go back and say, they said they were going to do this, like Trump. We already know what Trump has been saying. He's been saying it since his first time he ran for office in 2016. But this time he's doing it. 1, 2. He's already doing it. He's already done stuff that he said he was going to do. So he's proving to the Democrats, I say something, I'm going to do it. It may not be perfect. It may not be the exact right thing I should have done, but I said I would. The people voted for me, and I'm doing it. So we're all going to sink, or we're all going to be swimming, or whatever. I don't know. But we're going to see, because we did vote for him in record numbers. And hopefully we'll start seeing something good coming, like lower prices on our food, energy resources coming back to our country, us starting to make our own medicines, our own vitamins, and our own food, raising all our food and becoming self-sufficient. Our country is so big, we should be able to have everything we need, whether it's medicine, vitamins, food, clothes, cars, oil, anything. We should be
Water.
able to.
Janet,
Water,
let me say
everything.
let me mention about something you just brought up, okay? Mm-hmm. Starting in the mid 90s, after my injury and I became part of the VA system, I had my doctors were telling me that they were ordering our medicine from China. Now, I had those kind of conversations with them because of who my father was, and also because I was a medical person. But a lot of people I graduated from high school worked in my local VA. So I had access to a lot of information. The reason I bring this up is because, so the VA was the first person who went to China because China would produce drugs for a fraction of the cost. Not that they couldn't afford the good American medication, but they just wanted to make it cheaper so they could scam their money. So much money's scammed in the VA system. I really hope Doji is looking into that, because it's very corrupt. But my point is this: the major drug companies in America who were producing all this are like, well, hell, we have distribution, we have manufacturing, we have all this stuff. Why don't we just stop manufacturing and buy from China, because we can charge the same price and increase our profit? So they sold us out for making their profit higher by spending less money on production. And now we're getting medicines that are contaminated. They don't have the regulators and inspectors to look at all their medical facilities. I mean, Dawn found parasites in some of them, for Christ's sake. So that's what we're up against as Americans right now, that even some of those medications could have caused some of our parasitic issues.
But see, we're finally to the point where we're starting to say, I demand to be treated equal. Okay. If you're going to give this medicine to that congressman over there, but you're going to give me this medicine, I'm not accepting it.
Well, yeah, and we have to hold them accountable. But
yeah,
once again, we have RFK coming in, we have Donald Trump, we have Doji. Of course, there's me and the team I worked with, which is people in England, people in California, people in Canada, people all over the world. And we're not working for American authorities in our work. We're working for a much higher court. And they have all of our information, right? You have the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum can put tremendous pressure on people. But those people who are on those boards are the ones who owned the drug companies, who gave us a compromised product for their profit. And that's where these accountability issues have to come in, because they basically lied to us, right? They put on the shelf and it says what the medicine will do. But if it doesn't do that, then you're starting to run into commerce crimes for making false claims and whatnot. That's what they're going to get. That's what they're going to get them on.
I went shopping today, and I was reading the cans. Okay, like it would say distributed by whatever company in this state of Michigan. Distributed by. It doesn't say anything about where it was canned. You see what I mean? So even though they say that if you have this product, you have to have all the ingredients on there and you have to have this, that, and the other, because I know people who have tried to sell a lotion that they made by themselves or a candle, different things that they came up with themselves to sell on Pinterest or one of the other little Etsy, different things like that. Or handmade soap, stuff like that. And have to put the ingredients on there because you might have an allergic reaction to something that's in there. But we don't have to tell you where we made it. I mean, I could go and have something made in China and have them mail it to me, and then I can put it in the package and say it was made by me. That shouldn't be legal.
Our new farm guy that's coming in has made it one of his priorities, because he says, and this is one of the richest farmers in America, the most successful ones. That's why they're putting him in. He said, we grow all the food, we ship it to China, and then they package it and put it together and ship it back to us and sell it for 3 times what we got for it from them. Right? And he talked about this openly and publicly with Trump standing right next to him when he was announced as the agriculture secretary. So, there's a lot is going on. A lot went on, and we're not going to get out of this in any short time. Entitlement is a huge problem in today's world. And when that started, my kids were like under 14, all of them. I think they were probably 10, 8, and 5 or something like that. And they started that stupid participation trophy.
Was it in the 90s?
Yep, in the mid 90s. And they started that participation trophy stuff, and my kids wouldn't even keep them. We're like you. We're going to win. We don't care. We're going to win. And if I don't win, keep your trophy, right? And my children wouldn't accept them. They would not.
What was really funny during all this time, if you go back and because hindsight's 20/20 and everything, right? If you're looking back, you can always see, I wish I'd done this, I did that, blah blah blah. We all have that. It's looking forward where you should realize that this is going to happen if you do it just like you did back there. You see what I mean?
That's exactly
Common
right.
sense is telling you, okay, like when they did the whole thing about women's rights, women's equal rights, right? And equal rights to me, when someone says that, means that as a woman, if I can go in there and I can run that cash register or wait on those tables just like that man, then I'm equal. I can have that job and wait those tables and cook that food or whatever it is the same as that man. So I should make the same amount of money if I'm doing the same job. But what started really screwing it up was when they started lowering the standards to put certain people in a job that normally they wouldn't get hired to do it because they didn't have the talent to do it, right? Okay, I wanted to be a fireman, so I should be able to go in and apply for the job. Well, I go in, they say, sure, now you got to go to this 6 weeks training. Well, they realized that when women were coming in, they couldn't pass the test. It was too hard. So what did they do? For the women, they put a ladder out there, or they would put a smaller hose, and they do all the different stuff because they wanted a woman to graduate. That's one of the reasons why I picked that movie, G.I. Jane, to review, because we were all talking about that. And I wanted people to see that, do you really want a fireman, a paramedic, or a police officer coming to your rescue that had lower standards just so they could get the job? That's what DEI hires were, right?
Did you hear that quote on Fox today?
Which one?
They asked that woman who was over the fire department in LA, what are you going to do when you have a woman who can't bring an injured person from a fire out? She said, if that happens, that person's just in the wrong place. Swear to God, that was on Fox News today.
I know, but I've been saying this for a long time because that's exactly how I feel. My father, I told you, was a jungle survival instructor in the Air Force. Okay. He had 5 daughters. And he always told us girls, the military is no place for a woman. And I never felt like it was a diss or that I wasn't any good because I'm a girl and that my dad doesn't think I'm good enough to be in the military. When I'd asked him about it, he finally said, well, it depends on the job that you have. And I was like, well, what do you mean? This is one of the reasons why I picked G.I. Jane 2 to review, is that he said it isn't the woman that causes the problem. It's the men. And I was like, I don't understand. And he said, okay, if you have a woman and she's takes the class and she becomes a fighter pilot and she's good at it. She's got good eyesight. She can handle the plane. She's just excellent pilot. But if she gets shot down and she crashes and now she's down there with a bunch of us grunts, okay, all right, and she's been trained to use a gun and all these different things, she can protect herself. She's good at it. She's been trained, okay, and that's why she is a pilot. She was able to do this. But now she's down here with us. And every one of us guys down here are going to be looking over our shoulder to make sure she's safe. And guess what happens to us? We're vulnerable now. We're going to be shot because we're not paying attention to what's going on around us. We're too busy watching to make sure she's okay. That's why it hurts.
That's why they have a buck
help themselves, but want to protect a woman. That's just, and that's not the woman, it's the men. But that's a fact of life. You cannot take evolution out of a man and blame the man for it. I mean, it's a natural instinct. A man wants to, when you're walking down the street, a man is naturally going to grab, if he sees a kid or a woman, he's going to put his arm out in front of them if he thinks that something's coming to hit them. It's a natural thing that men do. You know, and that's what my dad tried to explain to us. That's why he said women don't belong in combat. And that's what he meant. He didn't mean they shouldn't be secretaries or desk jobs or, you know, where they were on the radio or, you know, computer jobs. There's tons and tons of jobs in the military that are important, is what my dad would say. It's just not in combat at the front lines. He doesn't believe that because he goes, all the men want to do is save the women. It doesn't matter if it's our women or their women. He said they're still going to try to not hurt the kids and the women. That's why the enemy will take a kid and hold it up in front of them, protect themselves, because they know most men will not shoot a kid or a woman.
Yeah, they use human shields a lot.
I know, and that's totally against the Geneva Convention, but they still do it. But that's the difference between me and a criminal, a person who's a serial killer or whatever. They don't think the same way as I do. They weren't trained the same way as I am. And they'll do whatever it takes to get what they want. And there's nothing we can do about that. You cannot change the psychosis of a serial killer. They think totally different, and they're going to do things totally different than what I would do. That's what's scary, when you have to have people out there trained to think like those people to catch them.
Yeah, I mean, people have frontal lobe issues and they have amygdala issues these days. Those are the two things that, where your conscience and your fight or flight mechanisms are. Mm-hmm. And they don't have a spiritual function. They're just amoral. They don't know how to make those kind of decisions, but that's a whole nother topic, really.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. All of it's interconnected because we're all connected, because we're all humans. And when you live together in any environment, even if, no matter what country you're in, when you have your group of people, you all react to each other because you can't help it. whether you're a child or you're an elderly person or you're a young strapping man or a young good looking woman, everything affects with the people that you surround yourself with. So
yeah, well, our leadership had a lot to do with this moral decline. We have to accept that. I mean, you got people saying that in the name of God, you need to give children sexual mutilations because they're not who they're supposed to be. Man, I mean, I used to play with G.I. Joes and all that shit when I was a little kid.
So did I.
They're dolls, for Christ's sake, right? I mean, I'm about the least gay person on the planet. You know, I'm just absolutely not gay. You know, if I had any problem, it was because I was too, you know, I don't know.
But think about it, though.
For the better word.
In these countries where the woman has to be covered head to toe, okay, and all you can see is a little slit where her eyes are at, okay, and the reason she's covered up is because if a male sees her skin, her wrist, her hand, her ankle, and he gets aroused because he sees it, it's her is the problem.
That's right. They'll kill him.
She's the animal because she's causing him to be turned on by someone who isn't his wife.
Yeah, they stone him in the street for that. I mean,
so
you can read about it every day.
That is the mentality that my dad was trying to explain. It's an instinct in the man, and they're, instead of taking blame for it for themselves, that hey, you need to curb your appetite, you know, because any man can look at a shadowy figure and imagine anything he wants that's underneath. It may be a hideous, disgusting Skeletor looking person, but he can think it looks like Lady Godiva under there. Okay. Is that woman's fault? No, that's the imagination of the man. And he's the reason why there's a problem. But it doesn't matter. The woman is beneath the man in those countries. So she will never have rights until that country evolves and changes the way they are. Our country over-evolved. They tried to make women equal to men, but instead they overemphasized and made it to where they were forced to hire a woman or another person that couldn't do the job because they were too skinny or they're too short or whatever it was, and forced them into a position that they weren't able to do. Okay.
Well, a lot of those oppressive situations are changing. There's the Kim Jong-un cried appealing to his people this week. The Chinese, they quit going to work. All the young kids quit going to work and everything. And Xi Jinping made a plea and an apology to the entire nation of China and said that we need to work together to make things better, that we've done things wrong and we're going to turn it around. Iran is on the verge of a civil war. They've already had the civil war basically in Syria where they...
Why? Why is Iran almost at civil war? Why? What's going on?
Because of the way they treat women. Because of the way they treat women. That is the bottom line. They will not let girls go to school. They do all this stuff to women. Women in Iran want to live in a modern world, and many of the men there agree.
They used to. If you go back and look
under the Shah of Iran, they did.
You see women wearing skirts to their knees, walking around on a college campus with their hair showing and everything, going to college, getting jobs. And then when the new regime came in, because of their perverted thought process, they blamed women for all their problems. See? So they made them cover up, or they'd beat them in the street or shoot them or kill them.
Yeah, well, we have our problems between men and women in America right now. And I'm going to go back and say our leadership, we had leadership over a period of 12 years since Obama got elected, and then the Biden years, where they did everything they could to undermine a spiritual way of living in the United States of America. And the reason that it was done was because they wanted to occupy our government and seize our government and have more of a dictatorship than a Biden ran a dictatorship. And this American vote said everything that America had to say about that kind of governing. You're crazy as hell. You can't make us do whatever you want to, and you can't go around giving all our tax money to foreigners, and you can't go around starting wars, acting like a colonial country when we've always been Pax Americana. We go where wars are to make peace. We don't take wars to other countries. You know, we propped up Zelensky, then gave him weapons. They're not even a NATO country. Those are crimes. They're crimes against international law and the treaties that have all been written over the last 70 years so that we wouldn't get into these kind of genocidal, what's the point of this war other than just, I don't like you kind of stuff. People shouldn't die just because two people can't get along.
Yeah.
You know, they canceled the election in Ukraine this year. So the only reason we're even talking about Zelensky anymore is because they stopped their election. And they did it right before our election back in the summer. And damn, if Anthony Blinken wasn't over there with him the day they did it.
What's
Right.
really sad about this whole thing with Ukraine is that if Trump hadn't won, okay, we would still be sending trillions and trillions of more dollars there that we don't have. When we have homeless people in the streets, we have children that don't have any parents and they have nothing. We have families with nothing, but they still send that money.
Putin's highest level general was assassinated this week. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
His most powerful government general was assassinated this week. And that's got Russia really like on edge because so many of the other lower generals keep asking Putin, can we end this war? You know, it was a really big thing getting rid of Prigozhin. And Prigozhin was an evil. I mean, he caused the coup in Niger last year or right at the end of the year before. I can't remember exactly when that one was. He was involved in working with former FBI director Willie Freed and a few oligarchs in Romania, and we were able to stop that coup.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and there's other coups that have been going on. Now Trudeau already resigned. I mean, if you look at all these things, humanity has made a decision about these godless leaders who, you know, want to push the things that they push. And really the things that they push aren't even, they're harmful to the person who does it, right? If you're having sex out of wedlock, if you're committing adultery, if you're doing all these other things, they break down your own being because they really go against what's natural. Now, I'm not a right-wing Christian going around telling people do this, don't do that. I'm a live and let live guy. But I will quickly point out to people what's been psychologically proven, that those kind of behaviors break down the mental capacity of the people that do it.
Too. You got states that have governors and mayors and other people in the government of a state, okay, that honestly believe that someone like Ted Bundy, okay, that would hunt someone down and kill them, okay, murder them, and then take their body out in the woods or whatever, and then go out there day after day and put makeup on them, brush their hair, and have sex with the dead body, okay, until it rotted, basically. And he admitted this. This is all stuff you can see in the documentaries. But when they were saying they were trying to find the Green River Killer, and he was talking to him about what he would do if you wanted to capture the Green River Killer, to stake out a dead body because he's going to come back to it. Okay, basically. And they didn't do it that way. But the thing is, when you have a government that will take someone like Ted Bundy, that proved over and over again that you can't rehabilitate a serial killer like Ted Bundy, okay? And that he got the death penalty, but they didn't want to kill him. They kept him alive for many years, to where he even had his own kid with a woman in prison. What he took away from all the people he murdered, he was given. He was able to have a child, have a life, that he took away from others because he pretended to be God, right? But then they think it's okay to just slaughter children left and right, you know, through sexual abuse, rapes, incest, murder, and that they give a slap on the wrist to those people, but they kill kids. The kids' lives mean nothing, right? They're nothing. But the fact that Ted Bundy was worth saving, and he couldn't help it. He can't help what he's doing, you know, whatever. How easily it is for these people in government to just throw a child to the side, but they fine you $100,000 for killing a turtle egg. You know, I don't see where their balance comes from. But then they constantly teach this mentality to all their children in the schools because they're running the schools. So you're having kids growing up thinking that this baby is worth nothing, but that serial killer, because he was treated bad or is nuts or whatever, should have the right to live. And that turtle has a right to live, and that eagle and that condor has a right to live, but not that baby. See, it's nuts. That there's no common sense in that at all. So until we bring common sense back into everything aspect of human life, I don't see how we're supposed to ever recover humanity. And
and that's what I was getting to, right? My children are all successful now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they look back at that whole trophy thing. Okay, they're 40 now, right? It took the better of a generation and a half to correct what that did in causing children to develop entitlement. And entitlement is as bad as gaslighting in our current society. They're both very destructive things to make people think that it's okay to do that. Mm-hmm. And so everything that we've gone through in these last 12 years, if we overcome it, and it's a big if because people are born in sin, if we overcome this, it will take a generation and a half to overcome it. But this generation, look at all the young people who got involved in government after this last administration.
Yeah.
Look how many young people came and voted for Donald Trump. These young people aren't stupid, just like we weren't stupid. We fought against the Vietnam War. You know, we fought against other things that we knew were wrong. And for some reason, this cancel culture and all these other ways that they were attacking people for trying to stand up with what was right. Okay. And now we have generations, just like my children were trained into entitlement. And now we have this generation of kids who wants to go around and tell people that they don't agree with Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
You know, it's out of control. How quickly will it get fixed? I think the main thing we have to do is to put constraints on media and them using false statements to cause people fear.
But
the
see,
First
we have
Amendment
power right
says
here.
You can't do it.
The
First Amendment says you cannot do it. You can't go in a crowded fireplace and scream fire. And there's no difference between them telling millions of people in America that Trump is Hitler. Most people don't even pick up anything to read it. They're looking for their next beer or their next football gathering or go play cards or gamble or whatever it is they're doing. And they're not interested in all that. They hear that shit and just accept it as truth. We've been through far too much of that, and it's going to take years to unravel this. It just is.
Well, I believe it's going to take years, but we have the power to do it now. It's just that you have to be right in here in your thought process, because look what happened with the Bud Light thing. Okay, enough people got pissed off about the whole Bud Light bullshit. They didn't buy the shit. They didn't buy Bud Light. And what happened almost overnight? They lost so much money. They decided, damn, we can't do that shit because we're going to go bankrupt. And they stopped doing it. If we stop buying their shit, we don't spend our money on their crap because they're trying to cram their agenda down your throat, guess what? They'll stop doing it.
Yeah, or the shareholders should replace the people who are harming their own companies. The American people have been
I don't
given
give
away
a shit
to
if
the
they go
shareholders.
bankrupt. Honestly, because if that's the kind of shit they're going to sell, I don't care if it goes bankrupt. I'd rather see it go down
Well,
the drain.
no, I mean, what I'm saying, what the outcome of what you're saying to do is that those unjust leadership will be removed from the companies. The problem you run into with that is when it's the highest stakeholder, shareholder in a company who has these ungodly thoughts and ways of living. So there's more to it than what meets the eye. There always is. But Bible sales are up 20%, right? The entire world is in upheaval right now because humanity has said we've had enough. We've had enough. We've had enough. And what I'm saying, our biggest problem is today, we're still allowing our media to push all this insane, negative, demean humans. You're not worthy, not helping people in hurricanes. Then the fire breaks out in LA, and then all of a sudden there's people bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars the second day. We have great injustice all over this nation right now, and a huge division between the people who have and the people who struggle to survive. But the people who struggle to survive that vote for these people, that's our power. Whether your power is in a boardroom, in a state legislative race, in the national presidential races, and all of that, your power is your vote, and that's all the power you have. But when people come together in an ideology, then that group of votes becomes a very powerful thing, as we just proved November the 5th. And things are going to change. I'm only pointing out that they're going to try to fight it. They're so sold on this ideology of mutilating children and playing games with DNA and making meat in a fucking laboratory and selling it at the store. They're doing shit to us, man, you wouldn't even believe they're doing. It's going to take a while to get it all unraveled, I promise you.
Well, I think that's where it's really important that we start with those CRISPR-Cas9s, because there is no laws right now. And with Bill Gates, by the way, it says Pfizer has control over CRISPR-Cas9 machine, you guys. That is scary. A man that wants to euthanize the whole world has the tools to change and edit our genes. That to me is a red flag like no other, and that should be stopped like immediately, right? He's only one of them. There's a few other ones on there that is on that list, Janet, if you want to post it on your site. But yeah, that is scary.
And that's in my DMs, right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
So Larry Fink, who is the chief executive officer of BlackRock, okay, the number 2 investor for them is Moderna, and the number 7 investor for them is Pfizer. But I've already got them taking a good look at Larry Fink and how he was involved in all of this. Keep in mind, and I say it all the time, 90% of the money made on this went to 8 individuals.
Hey, I have a question for you. How come California, a university out of California, is the one giving in the licenses for these CRISPR-Cas9s for people to operate them?
Because of their governor, and because of Nancy Pelosi, because of people like that.
All right, because
there are some states in this country right now that are flat godless. They, the people of those states have to find people to replace these people and then vote them into office. But I saw a report today, 166 people voted in the presidential race in Washington, D.C. that did not have the right to vote. And then on the election day, 388 voted. And they're just really starting to dig into these matters. So they're going to be finding that and more. They already proved that in California, somebody won a race. They just wouldn't count the election until they got enough votes for the person they wanted to win. They're caught red-handed. Okay. So, what it bubbles down to is.
But you got to remember, they already did that. Okay, when Trump didn't win because Pence accepted the Electoral College votes, even though all those people were there trying to say, send it back to our states. We need to recount. We've had election interference of some sort, blah, blah, blah. But he said no, and he took the votes anyways because he's vice president and that was his job. So legally, Biden did win, okay, because Pence took the Electoral College votes that were in front of him as they were submitted instead of listening to what the people from the state representatives that were coming up there and saying, hey, we found this, that, and the other, but he didn't want to see that, so he just took it, okay?
Yeah, you got to keep in mind now, this is the whole time that every bit of this was going on was in the heat.
I understand that, but we are a nation of laws. We are a nation of laws, okay? And if we don't have law, we have nothing that separates us from any other beast.
Well, that's why we elected Trump.
I know. So we, as of today, until there's a change in that, because if we ever do go to court and prove that that election was stolen, then we can go back and every single law or every single thing that was passed at that time by that administration will be taken off. We can do that. But until then, we can't. But everything that did happen during that 4 years, like all the trillions and trillions of dollars that we just frivolously threw to all these other countries, got nothing in return for it, is gone forever. We can never get that back. All the people that were harmed by medicine or any other acts that our government did, you can't get that back either. All the people that were put in jail for January 6th for a insurrection that never happened because not one person was criminally put in prison or arrested or tried for insurrection. Not one person. Okay, so they still called it insurrection, even though it wasn't, because there was no facts to back it with a crime. Okay, nobody was convicted of insurrection. Okay, there was all the misdemeanors and breaking and entering or whatever they want to throw out there, but not a person was in there. But they stayed in jail for many, many years, lost their jobs, got divorced, all the things that they have no longer because they were in prison. Okay. Their constitutional rights were stomped all over, basically. So Trump gave them, a pardon. He's cleaned that all up. But now there's no crime. Okay. Except they can't go back now because what did Trump say over and over again? They deleted everything. They got rid of all the evidence of all the videos that they hid. Now the only stuff we have now is whatever all the people that dug and dug and dug and had copies of videos and stuff, they have that. That's it. That's all we've got. But the actual documents and stuff that was supposedly there that they were using to convict all these people supposedly has been destroyed. So I don't know the facts. I'm not there. I can only tell you what I have been told. That's it. So it's up to you and I and everyone else to dig in, find out what we can, and try to make sure it never happens again.
Clay Higgins has all that stuff. Okay.
Well, I hope so.
Biden tried to tell him he couldn't use it. Well, with Trump in office, it's going to be used. Mm-hmm. But like you said, who's going to undo all that stuff? Those people who were jailed are being compensated for the time they were in jail.
Yeah, but
right?
I don't care.
What would be the benefit of
if I took you right now, Chris, and I put you in prison, okay, and I put you in prison and you couldn't see your family, you couldn't see your friends, you couldn't see your pets or anything for 4 years, okay? Your pets all die because there's no one there to feed them. They come and they repossess your house. They take all your shit because you weren't there to take care of it, right? You didn't get to see your kids. You got to see nothing. So you come out now and you have nothing. No matter, they come and say, oh, we're so sorry. You shouldn't have went to prison. And they give you a couple $1 million. Does that give you back the time that you lost with your family and friends, your lost pet that you lost? All that.
I mean, I
There's
understand
no
that, but
money that can ever replace that. Never.
that's a matter of personal acceptance for them. And I can tell you this, they're heroes to everybody in America for what they did. And
I think
Donald
so
Trump
too.
just let them out.
But they'll never get that back. That
Okay,
time
so
is
let
gone.
me just ask you this.
Mhm.
Take a look at Nancy Pelosi. Take a look at Chuck Schumer, even Mitch McConnell,
Mhm.
and several people who were involved in this manipulation that led us down this road.
Yeah.
Even if we tried and convicted them, okay? First off, they're not going to be held in jail, right? They're the kind of people
Why
that can
not?
sign this. By the time they're convicted, none of them will even live more than 5 years in jail because they're so old and decrepit.
Yeah, but so what?
There's no,
To me, honestly,
this is
if
one to give
Nancy
to God.
Pelosi was convicted and she went to prison for 1 year before she died of old age, it'd be worth it to me because she's sitting in jail when she dies. Do you see? That's restitution for people.
Yeah, but then what about the $190 billion they're going to have to spend to fight these people
It's
who are
just
going to
money.
spend every penny?
They're printing it left and right. We're $26 trillion in debt or more. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm
Money's
just not.
money.
I'm just not a kind of
Money's
person that
nothing.
lives with it. I don't have a vengeful heart. You know, these people did what they did, and they're going to burn in hell for what they did. That's who I believe the vengeance belongs to, and not one of them has repented to the people. Right? Satan's crime was he wanted to be over mankind, and mankind was God's greatest creation. Before that, it was Lucifer. Lucifer got proud. He's like, I'm better than them. I'm smarter than them. I can do more than them. I'm going to be over you, God, because I'm not going to worship man. And then he wouldn't bow to man. And that was why he was cast out of heaven over the sin of pride. So we live in a realm where those powers have a great influence on all people. Can we forgive these people for what they did? I'm having trouble with it. I'll damn sure never forget it. And in the event that something was done with them, it would have to be like tribunals in military courts where they put the people behind glass things like they did the Nazis after World War II. And then they would have to take them out in front of the courthouse and kill them immediately. And we just don't have a system that's built for that. We're not going to go grab up all these people and just, execute
Yeah,
them.
but the thing is, why can't we do them in the different states and let the states do it?
They just all got pardoned. It's going to have to be done by international courts. I promise.
Have Trump unpardon them.
Well, no, what I mean is,
he overturned
each state where those people came from and the people that were hurt in their state. Okay, let's say that one of the crimes that they did in civil court, and they take them to civil court. Then that's what they do: take them to court, take every dime they have, take everything from them, take their homes, take their cars, take their furs, take anything they've got, just like they did to Giuliani. They even took his memorabilia and sold it. Okay, do that to him. I'd like to see that. Let's do a public auction where they have to stand there while people are buying their shit. It's like a giant yard sale, and they have nothing when they're done. I'd like to see
in a perfect world, I would agree with that. But I've got personal friends who were part of all this COVID thing, who lost their doctor's license and all that. They're at the Supreme Court, and we literally have people on the Supreme Court arguing that they were the ones who were wrong and not Big Pharma. I mean, what are you going to do? Go grab these people, execute them in front of everybody, and then
no, I didn't say execute them. I said just take everything, take them to court, and do just what they did to Rudy Giuliani, and just take everything they have.
But that's the very Justice Department that the United States of America doesn't want. Two wrongs have never made a right. They set a precedent. And Donald Trump went through every bit of that stuff like a champion. He took every bit of that shit. He knew he had never done anything wrong, right? The J6ers knew they never did anything wrong. And I know of stories in the Bible where people had to go to jail, and it was
Wait a
because
minute.
God wanted them to be there.
What good is having laws, okay, if you commit treason or you commit murder or you do any of these things, but you say, well, there's too many of them. We can't murder them all. We can't put them all in jail. We can't do this. We can't do that. So the law only works for those people, but we don't do the same law for those people because there's too many of them. See,
Yeah,
that's
well,
bullshit.
I'm not disagreeing with
Everyone
anything
is
you're
equal
saying.
under the law, no matter what or who they are. If they broke the law and they go to court and they're proven in court that they broke the law, then they should suffer whatever that state's law is. They should have to go through the whatever is going to happen to them. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it takes $100 million to pay for it either. They all need to go to court. Every one of them.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying at all. I'm saying it's impossible to do it because of the system.
Why is it impossible?
Because the way our system works. They abused the system. They abused the system. I do not agree if we abuse the system that makes it right. Now, I agree with everything you say.
Wait a minute.
Able to do
wait a minute,
that, but
Chris,
we're not
you're trying to say that because we are taking these people to court because they broke the law that we're abusing the system. See, that's the difference. We're not just doing it for our own flim-flam money or whatever. We're doing it because we're following the law. We're not abusing the system. See, that's the difference. It's not the same.
My point is they're the ones who can manipulate the system so well, right? They don't care about the system. Even if we did everything by the way the system works, the courts are so corrupted that it will never get to fruition. That's my point. We literally have a war going on in this country.
That's a problem
right now.
then.
We have a war going on in this country right now.
If we take some people that broke the law and we go to the court and say, here is the facts, this is the evidence, and we want these people tried, and the judge keeps throwing it aside or whatever it is, and we'll say remove that judge. And then put a new judge in and do the same process. And guess what? Over time, we'll get rid of all those crooked lawyers and crooked judges and get rid of them and have a whole new system set up where they're all fair.
Tom Homan brought in a man who has been charged with murder from Haiti to the New York City jail, precinct 22, I think it was. And the DA released the man. Now, if you don't think that they're going to turn a known killer over on the street, how in the world do you think that they're going to prosecute white-collar criminals whose crime was signing papers and lying to humanity? Now, I believe everything you say. It's the only right, just outcome. I'm just trying to tell you, they literally just today took a man they charged with murder and put him back on the street after Tom Homan brought him in.
Well, look at this. Let me show you this. Can you see this right here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Watch.
I'm not going back to Haiti. One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
ICE Boston quickly takes down its next targets, including this illegal alien from Brazil who has an Interpol red notice for armed robbery. This Salvadoran illegal alien charged locally with rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction.
Señor, ¿cómo se llama?
And this Dominican illegal alien charged with assault with a deadly weapon and heroin trafficking. Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing gun charges. ICE says he was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policies.
Okay. Every single one of those you just saw is just a very small fraction. It's going to take years when you get 5-6 people a day in this one area. It's going to take many, many years to go through and get all those people. And you see how many different countries that was from? And look how many people were there to have to arrest them, take them and put them in jail and blah, 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 and then get them ready and get rid of them, put them in prison or deport them or whatever we're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do because I'm not a sheriff. I'm not a deputy or whatever. The thing is, it's going to take a lot of time and effort and money and to pay all these people. But guess what? I don't give a shit. I would up my taxes to make sure every one of these people are taken and taken out because they shouldn't be here. And they're hurting innocent American citizens that were born and raised here. They have the right to be here. We have to take those thorns out and get rid of them. Okay. And I don't care if it costs more money. I'd rather see the money spent on this shit instead of going to Ukraine or to China or to Sudan or wherever else. All these people that think they know better about what's best for my life are taking my tax dollars and giving it to whoever when they're sending all of these people to us to have to deal with. So don't give them any more money. Use that money to get rid of these types of people.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good solution. Don't give them any more money.
Tons of solutions. We already have a billion laws here. All we have to do is take each state and each town and follow the laws that we have.
You have to go back.
Want to get rid of these people.
You have to go back to what I said earlier. If you don't want Alvin Bragg turning all these criminals loose on your street, you got to elect somebody to take Alvin Bragg's place.
Mm-hmm.
But
we just proved that we can do that. We just won a huge landslide in election, which proves that people are ready to clean the streets of their cities and their towns, take back their states. We just proved that. All 7 swing states went for Trump.
Yeah, but that didn't happen in a swing. That didn't happen in a swing state. It happened in New York.
No, I know, but what I'm trying to say is all the states that voted for Trump, if they clean up their states because they're ready to kick some ass and take some names, they're fed up, they're tired, and they're willing to spend a few extra dollars to get the shit out of their cities and out of their states. And if they want to go to New York, then we just keep arresting more and more of them, more illegal judges, more illegal whatevers that are breaking the law and put them in jail. Fill New York jails. That's right. Fill their prisons, fill their stuff with those people. If that crooked judge wants to let more people come, put them in jail along with all the people he loves and let them be with them. That's fine. It's not going to make the real New York's people.
Well, there is a good footnote
don't want
on this.
to put up with that shit.
There's a good footnote on this topic, though.
What?
A city councilman came to Trump, went to him and said, look, if they're not going to cooperate with y'all in New York, send them to Chicago, because if y'all arrest them here, they're going to send them home. So Chicago is they had an uprising. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're fixing to do one of those recall votes on their mayor.
Well, good. Because the thing is, people are fed up. I don't care if they're in a blue city. I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of people in these blue states that are freaking sick and tired of their money. Look at these people in California right now, lost everything in these fires simply because they had dumb morons that's supposed to have water in these reservoirs. They didn't care because they didn't think it would ever happen to them. I can still go high on the hog, go out to dinner, go do my thing, go shopping or whatever. It's not me at risk. See, that's how they all treat each other in those areas. And that's why nothing ever gets done, is you hiring people that don't give a shit. They just want their money, their prestige or whatever. They don't care about the lowly people that pay taxes. But guess what? The lowly people who pay taxes are now hurting. And they're going to say, fuck you, we want our shit. Get them out. That's what's going to happen. And it's happening. Listening to them. They're being interviewed every day. And that's what they're saying. They're sick and tired of this shit. And they're taking back their town. It's finally happening. It's sad that so many bad things have to happen before people, normal people that think if I just stay out of it, it won't bother me. It's coming to their front porch now. And it's going to happen in all these places. We got record snowfall. We got record freezing temperatures. We have all these bad things that are happening, earthquakes, all these things that are happening, and people are getting fed up. And they finally have a president and now a team that he's putting together that are going to listen and say, fine, you want this done? We're going to send a team to your city and we're going to help you clean it up if that's what the people want. Just like what happened with Scott Presler. You guys know who Scott Presler is, right?
Yep.
Okay. He's just some young guy that was sick and tired of seeing all this the trash in the streets and stuff like that. And he got people together and they started cleaning up their towns, getting rid of whole streets of garbage and letting the people realize, hey, we can clean up our own street. And they did it. And now look at him. Look how far he's come, simply because he was fed up. And he was just a kid. He was just one person, but he changed so many people's lives because he gave a shit. Just like you guys.
That gives me an idea.
Yeah, but you guys.
Maybe I should take my microscope and do the same thing and go down the block and just let people see what's in their blood.
But every kid that you talk to and you tell them, this is what I could see under a microscope, and who knows what they're going to want to do. You see, you inspire people when you help others, and you're doing it. You did it just because you wanted the truth. That's all you wanted was the truth, and you demanded it, and you started taking action. And if everybody does that, just like I said about the Bud Light, it's a simple little dumb thing, but enough people said F you, and look what happened. It works. When more people band together and say, we can do this, and you just start doing it. But if you say, I'm not going to buy a single ticket for the NFL this whole year because that guy took a knee and this guy did that, or they didn't respect the flag or whatever it is, and you end up saying, okay, 2 games go by and you're watching it again. Well, guess what? You failed. Because you didn't follow through with what you said you were going to do. And I saw so many people, so many men that said that. Oh, I'm not going to watch the NFL. Look what they did. Didn't last very long, did it? Because not enough people are willing to sacrifice a tiny thing like watching a football game for one season. One whole season is all you had to do. And they would have said, we can't treat our people that way anymore because they're not buying our jerseys. They're not buying our tickets. We're losing money. And guess what? They start thinking more about their fans than their own fucking vacation they're going to be taking. See what I mean?
It always goes back. It always goes back to that, though, Janet. Just like with the drugs coming from China, just like them giving all our oil production to the Middle East, every bit of that was for them to profit off of. Yep. You know, should Nancy Pelosi be charged for all of her insider trading? Absolutely, she should. I mean, there's a law against Congress.
Martha Stewart did. She went to prison.
Yeah, but the question is, can you make it happen underneath the corrupt system we have? I agree that all these things
I think we can
need to come through.
You got to remember, not
the first 100 days. Look in
Georgia. Look in Georgia right now. Look at all the corrupt shit with that. What's her name? Was it Fannie or whatever her name was? All that corruption, right? And she lied under oath. She sat there and lied, and everyone watching it was like, she's fucking lying. Okay. And the thing is, that system didn't do anything. Well, that little system is corrupt. But around that system, I'm telling you, every single judge that's in court in the state of Georgia is not corrupt. Okay, they're not all pedophiles. They're not all rapists. They're not all drug dealers. So you got good people mixed in. You have to make the good people say, I'm sick of this bullshit, and start calling out the assholes and get rid of them. That's how you get rid of them. It's us standing up and fighting for what belongs to us, the people that work hard and do give a shit about facts and fair, and the law. You know.
Well, I mean, you and I have had our conversations about how impatient we are. And
Yeah.
I'm just kind of watching everything that President Trump is doing right now with his executive orders,
Yep.
because he's building us to a place where we can do these things. But if you think any of it is going to happen in less than 2 years, I mean, that's out of the question.
Well, some of it's going to happen.
Yes,
Not all of it.
It's already.
I don't even think all of it's going to be done in 4 years. It's impossible. As bad off as we are.
I don't know about that. I've seen this country go through a
our
lot.
frames of mind, us learning what we've been through and what they've done to us and how we can fix it step by step by putting these different teams together and taking those teams and coming to each state that asks for help us reorganize our schools, help us do this, help us with their drugs, help us with that. Once we have real people coming in and helping us set those things up, then we'll start changing, because we're all learning, but it's not going to be just one group of person. It's going to be different cities and different towns in every state that are going to be learning stuff. Even blue states are going to ask for help and get help. And people are going to start waking up. But it's up to the people. Everybody keeps saying it's we the people, we the people. I hear that all the time, but I'm like, where are the people? You go and vote and everybody's 90 years old, about to die. Where's the young people stepping in to take over? See, that's when it's we the people, when we got young and old working side by side to take back our cities and our states. That's when we win.
Well, I think we're on the way.
We're starting. It started for sure, and it's going to get better from here, because we are helping people. Us three, I can tell you right now, I can see us three things that we've done in our own lives, taken out of our own time, and we haven't gotten money for it. I know you guys haven't made any money yet at all. It's all hard work and time and effort, because you care about the outcome. That's the difference. That's what separates all of us from them. At least that's how I look at it.
I hope so.
I don't hope so. I know so, because I could tell just the first time when I sat down and talked to each of you about the different things you were doing. These are people that I want to be friends with. These are people that are doing something. They're already actively doing something. See? And that's what makes you different than the other person down the road that just kind of like, well, they still haven't decided yet. But people like you are going to make those people decide, yep, it's time for me to step up. And that's when we know we've made a difference.
See, I want them to be held accountable too. Like, I really do. And I know Chris feels different about it, and I respect his opinion and our different opinions, but I think they should be held accountable. I don't think anybody should be able to get away with murder, especially that many lives. There's children that were murdered, 14-year-olds, 10-year-olds. They didn't deserve that. Nobody does, but especially a child. Like, when you cross the line of a child, I think that draws a whole different aspect to murder. All right. So when you got little children being murdered, that's not okay in my book.
But see, I think that all the people will be held accountable. But the thing is, we have to do it. Like I said, we are a country of laws. We have laws that are on the books, and we just have to learn to start following the laws that we have instead of trying to add 1,500 new ones when we already have them. We just have to learn what's available and use it for our advantage. And the more we learn, the better we are at knowing, hey, look at that. They did it over there. Let's do what they're doing and bring it here. And once we do that, that's why I love Doge, the whole idea of Doge. That's why I play that video every time on my show, because I do believe in that. We have to work together to bring in, all these people they're just running around like a chicken with their head cut off, doing whatever they want to everyone else and making us all suffer, when most of us are good law-abiding citizens, and that we want to work together and make sure that, if I want to stay at home and eat Cheetos in the buff, I should have the right to do that. It's in my house, right? Nobody will know. It's nobody's business. But if I take what I'm doing outside of my home and start hurting other people with it, that's wrong, and I should be punished for it. And that's all we're saying, is that the people that have already broken the law and hurt others should be held accountable for their actions. We would be. That's how I'm looking at it. And that's what I'm waiting for. That's what I want to see. I want to see these people held accountable, just like I'm watching with all the illegals, all the other things. We just have to just be accepting that we can't do it all in one day, because that's impossible. It's not going to happen. It's going to be years. But if we don't give up, okay, just like what we did with 9/11, after 9/11, a year goes by and it kind of goes, yeah. And people are still mourning at the next 9/11. And then it's the next 9/11. And they stop talking about it all the rest of the year because it's not important anymore.
Janet, if me or you did this, I mean, we'd be held accountable, right? I mean, they'd be knocking at our door, kicking our doors, and
you and I would already be in prison.
They would be saying, "Oh, we can't prosecute them. This is, not okay." No, they'd be kicking us in, taking us in, not even asking us our name. We'd probably already been given the death penalty.
Yep, we'd already be in prison. I know that.
On 9/11 of 2024, they were marching in the streets with Palestinian flags, praising the takedown of the World Trade Center.
Yeah, I know you did, Bruce, but I'm saying a lot of people said they were going to do it and they didn't. And it's not just the NFL. It's lots of different groups like that. People just don't want to give it up. It's more important to watch the game or to whatever it is that you're involved in than to give it up and say, well, and that's the problem. We got too many people that do that instead of saying,
look what they did to Colin Kaepernick. Think about what they did. They wiped him off the planet.
Yeah, he had pigs on his socks. Cops that had pig faces on them, stuff like that. Very disrespectful.
Yeah, that whole Black Lives Matter thing. Now, the lady who started Black Lives Matter lost over $3 million homes in the LA fire.
Mm-hmm.
She lost 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I'm kind of talking about.
How many homeless, needy people from her community did she let come and stay in her mansions? I wonder.
She probably had Diddy's crowd over there.
But what I'm saying is, all these people, I've been around lots of rich people. I've been around lots of stars. I've been standing there having people ask me for my autograph when we're doing it on set, because they don't know who I am. I'm just in a costume and I'm with all the stars. So they want my autograph. They think I'm somebody. That's fine. And I know what it's like. I understand the temptations of that. But the thing is, I'm not going to sell myself out. I'm not going to do that to my mother. I will never do something like that and disgrace my mother, even though she's dead, because she can see me all the time now. At least that's what I truly believe. And I wish more people had that kind of pride in themselves, that just because that guy down the street is willing to sell his shirt off his mother's back doesn't mean I wasn't going to do it. You know what I mean?
I can tell you this. I live the way I live because I love myself. And that's kind of a misnomer, because what I've learned in life is the more I love other people the way I want to be loved, the more I get loved back, and the more blessings I get and every other thing that you really want out of life. Love is the answer to every bit of this.
Well, it should be. And a few of us are lucky to see that when we have it in front of us. Others, it's right in front of you. It's in your grasp, but they ignore it because they're so self-consumed that they can't see the other great stuff that's in front of them. And that's,
I agree with that.
I see that all the time, and it's just heartbreaking to me that you have a wonderful wife, you have a beautiful family, yet all you do is sit and play video games, or all you do is sit and do this when she's working, coming home and cooking and doing this, that, and the other. And you never even acknowledge of all the things that she does, and I try to help people with that, tell them, if I was her, this is what I would want. And I'd hope that you would, if you loved her enough and you want to have your relationship last, that you will do those things for her. Because once she sees that you love her and that you're going to treat her with respect, she's going to give it back.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
That's what happens.
It takes a long time to learn to be that way. Mm-hmm. parents teach their kids, look out for yourself. It's dog eat dog. Do this, do that. I didn't.
But it is.
Yeah, it is. But then if you get surrounded by people who are like you, this is what I've learned in life. You want to be around happy, positive people. Be a happy, positive person. If you want to be friends, you have to be friendly. You know, old men taught me all that when I had my drinking problems early in life. And then at about 35, I was like, I'm probably allergic to alcohol. I finally understood what it meant. I understood what my Native American heritage and my Irish heritage and how those things played into me. I totally changed my life at that time. And then, my family still struggles with a lot of things that I don't even look back, because all I know that I have to do is wake up tomorrow, do the next right thing, treat everyone I come across the way that I want to be treated, and my path gets laid out in front of me. And so I'm always end up around like-minded people, just the way we met, the way Dawn and I met, the way I've met people in Palm Springs and Palm Beach and all the way up in Seattle and in Washington and Oregon and California. And I mean, I've met thousands of people over the last 5 years doing this stuff that I've been doing. I said in the beginning, and Dawn said this too, we do it because we love people. Elon Musk does everything he does because he loves people. Are we perfect people? I don't think we are by any stretch of the imagination, nor would I ever try to say that I was. I have a lot of flaws, but I do try to take my actions and put them into things, because I do love people. Now,
This is being recorded, right?
On some days, I say I hate people.
Right, Janet?
On some days, I say I hate people. Right? Some days I say I hate people. But if I got to find out they mutilated some 12-year-old kid or something like that, I'm supposed to hate that. The last time I checked, I'm supposed to despise those kind of behaviors. Right? Lying tongue, people that shed innocent blood, people that turn brothers against each other, people who, there's 6 or 7 things in there that literally are part of American society now, and especially were part of our last government administration with gaslighting and all what they've done, that their entire administration was built on the 7 abominations of God. And if you read them out of the Bible, it will stun you. It's like a word-for-word description of what we went through over the last 4 years and the 8 years of Obama. And I liked Obama. He was a good orator. He was a shitty president, right? He wanted to come in and take Christianity out of our way of living and put Islam.
Yeah, he said we are no longer a Christian nation.
That's right. That's right. He said a lot of shit. Did I hate those things? Yes, I did. I hate those things, right? But I don't hate the people. We have a country full of victims right now. We have a country full of victims.
The sad truth is when you have a person in charge, whether it's your boss or your pastor or your parent, and they tell you there is no God. So I want you to stop talking about it. I don't want you to mention it around our job or in our workplace. You're not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to do this. Well, you don't have to say God. You don't have to say that word. In your heart, you still believe, but you just say, well, I'm going to be a good person to people. Okay. You turn it around on them. So you're doing the exact same thing. It's just you're not using that one word. And what are they going to say? Well, I don't want you to say you're going to be a good person. I don't want you to see what I mean. You use your mind and you use your heart to try to figure out how can I say the exact same thing without saying the one thing that it makes people pissed off. So you do the other thing. And my mother would always say, actions speak louder than words. And I know you guys heard me say that a million times because it does. If you can't speak and you can't say anything, what are you going to do to that person to show them you love them? You hug them, you kiss them, you make food for them. You sew clothes for them, you clean for them, you do different things to show that you love them. You don't have to do it. You don't have to speak. A lot of people don't. So my mother said, you can have live your life and be good to people. And if that person that you're trying to be good to is constantly an asshole to you, hitting you or mean to you, just slowly push them out of your life. Don't be mean to them. Don't say, I hate you. I want you dead. Don't say anything. Just slowly, just look at them, leave, ignore them, and slowly just cut them out of your life. They won't be there anymore. They won't be side. They won't be.
You know what's crazy?
But they'll still be there. You'll still be a good person, and you didn't hurt them.
You know what you said about believing in God? Let me tell you something, okay? We have a generation of young kids who have heard everybody in this country bitching and raising hell because nobody watches CNN or MSNBC, and that dwindled out years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they know the truth, and they watch somebody try to blow Donald Trump's head off, and somehow he turned his head and it went through his ear. Now, I'm telling you now, if Trump is able to do what he has said he is going to do, because he said, I believe God saved me because this is a responsibility to me, and it made him religious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he believed, he has his own Bible and all this. That changed him into a spiritual man. There's a big difference between a religious person and a spiritual person.
Oh,
and
this
these
changed me
kids who
spiritually.
witness that, they're going to believe in God. You can rest assured, because we saw a miracle. Anybody who knows divinity and faith and all these things, there was a preacher that even went to Trump a couple months before that happened and said, they're gonna try to kill you and you're gonna live through it. Yeah, like 2 or 3 months, he went to him and said, I know this is gonna happen. So it was prophesied, then it happened, and children saw all this, and they heard people saying, I just wish he wouldn't have missed. Man, those children are losing sleep over that right now. Do you understand that? That was the most vicious act committed against a human in this country in forever. And you'll never convince me there weren't people in the government involved.
Okay, what you just said made me think of something else. Okay, because believe me, if you look hard enough, you can find a miracle almost every single day.
Oh, yeah.
Some sort of miracle that happened. It may be small, it may be huge, but there's miracles every day right in front of us. But for some reason, we would rather share, oh, look at the naked guy running down the street because it's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Or look at that lady's big ass titties and her ass hanging out of her shorts. Okay. That kind of stuff, which is, it's to each his own. Or you can share kittens being born, or a mother eagle staying on her nest during a tornado to protect her eggs. That's the only thing she knows is to be a mother. Things like that. Or stuff like this. Okay. This, I'm going to let you watch this video. This is an actual miracle being performed right in front of your eyes. And every person that I've showed this to said that is a miracle. It is a miracle. And I'm going to share this with you because that's exactly what this is. So I don't know how to make it bigger. Oh, here we go. Amazing.
Wow.
That is a miracle. And that's what I wanted to say, is the fact that they happen every day. Miracles do happen. God shows us things. He gives us the opportunity to do it. But instead of sharing these type of things, which I just shared in the chat, and I've shared on my timeline, and I shared it in 100 DMs in all the different platforms, because to me, this is a miracle. And I'm thankful to God that I got to see it, because we need to see miracles. Miracles give us
hope.
Give us a reason to keep
going,
to share them with others, because we deserve it. If you're a good person, you try to live your life the best you can, you deserve a miracle and get to see one, a real one. And not enough people get to see it. And that's why a lot of people have lost faith in humanity and lost faith in God, simply for the fact they don't think there are miracles, but there are. You just don't see them because they don't put them on the news. This is the kind of stuff should be on the news every night.
Janet, I don't know if I shared this with you guys, but at the beginning, when I started my research, I heard God's voice. All right. And he told me that my whole purpose of being born was to expose this. And I said, what is this? And I didn't know what this meant. Okay. I didn't know how huge this was going to be or nothing. I had no clue. But it made me want to like investigate so deep, because when you hear that voice and it's so strong and so powerful, you don't stop. You don't stop till you know. All right. And so that's what gave me my incentive to keep going. So when people say, oh, we've been praying for God to show up, God to help us with COVID and all this other stuff, he showed up. Right. And he showed up not just in me, but lots of other people too, you know, that have other parts to this. So that's, and I will always give him credit. I'm not smart enough to figure all that out. Come on. There was a lot to this. I wasn't that girl. Okay. I get a microscope, whatever. But that's what I heard. And I'll always give God the credit for it, because he's the one who guided me through all this. I wouldn't have been able to find none of this without him.
God puts a lot of things in our lives, and sometimes we see it and other times we just walk past it, because at that moment we weren't open to it. You know, it's just like all three of us could go to a church sermon and sit down in the pews side by side and listen to the same sermon. But guess what? When we leave, we're all going to take something different from that sermon, because we take what we need in our lives at that moment when we hear it.
That's true.
Okay. And that's why it's important to talk about it. Okay. When you talk to other people about what you just went through, it's like you're doing when you were told, hey, get a microscope. You didn't know what it meant. You didn't know what you were going to find. You had no clue. And your kids were freaking out because you were poking yourself 24/7. You know, they were
poking them too.
because you were trying to figure it out yourself. You didn't have an instructor. You didn't have someone standing over your shoulder. You did. You just didn't realize you did. It happened to be, God, and he was instructing you in your mind of what to do. Oh, just try this. Oh, I'm going to try that. He was inspiring.
Websites. I didn't even know what was at that website. I was screenshotting it. And as I'm going back to my phone now, 2 years later, I'm like, wow, I had all the answers at the very beginning, Janet. At the very beginning, I had no clue.
But you didn't know that. You had to take the journey.
Yeah.
You had to take the circle of life, basically, back to the beginning. And you were like, holy shit, I put this together.
The tree of life. What a concept, the circle of life.
I know. And that's exactly what it is. And that's why I said, I can help it. I may not have a lot of people that watch me, and I only have a few loyal people that I talk to all the time. Okay. But the thing is, I'm not quitting. You know, even though YouTube has kicked me off, I don't know how many times, and I'm sure it won't be the last time, but I'm still going to keep trying. I'm not making any money. I'm not getting paid. I do this because I want to. I want to do this. This is my way of helping in the best of my ability with a little bit of knowledge that I do have. I want to share it with other people. And if I can help one person change their life, then it was worth it to me.
That's right. Yeah,
that's
you
what I
can
used
help
to say
one
to the
person.
therapist.
So, and I'm not perfect, but guess what? If it makes me get a little closer to the throne of God, just even if it's 2 inches, it's worth it to me. Just tell people, I'm going to get to heaven. I know I'm going to heaven because I know I'm a Christian and I know I believe. I'm going to go, but I'm going to be so far back that I'm going to see a little blip of light when the throne way up there. I don't care. I'm still there. I'm still in the light of God, and that's what's worth it to me. But I'm going to work hard to try to get as close to it as I can. But I know I'm going to be there. So that sets me apart from other people.
Your comment about saving one person, I know a cute story about that. So these people are visiting the coast, and they rented a place, and they're walking on the beach, and they see all these fish washed up on the shore, and they're like, oh my God. So they're walking down the beach and throwing fish in, and one of the local people was out on their back porch and screamed down, hey man, they wash up like that all the time. You can't save them all. And the guy bent down and picked up one more. He goes, I can save this one, and threw it in the water. And then he went back to picking up his thing. And a lot of what we're looking at, we've talked about this in almost every issue that we discussed tonight. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And I'm trusting this man we elected, and I'm going to continue to do what I do every day because I was like you, I was raised to be this way. I want my life to honor my parents' life.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that my children feel that way about me, you know. And if you raise your children the way they're supposed to be raised, no matter what they go through when they become adults and do all the crazy shit half of us do, if you raise them right, they will come back to the way you raise them as they get older. And that's just a fact of life.
It is hard. But the thing is, what I want to see change the most is that bring people back together after being separated because of COVID. Okay. Because to me, COVID wasn't a like the plague that God sent down. You know what I mean? That's not, it wasn't made by God. So it's totally different. This was a man-made
bioweapon.
Something. I don't know a lot about it, but I just feel like it was made by man to control other men. Okay. So since it wasn't made by God, by the hand of God, and that God could be the only one to control it, because God gave us the right to choose. Okay. So we can either choose to follow God or not to. We have the right to do that. That's why the archangels were jealous of us, because the archangels were created to serve God. We were created and given the will to make our own decision. That's why they were jealous of us. And that's why Lucifer said, I'm never going to bow down to a human, right? Because he felt he was better than us. But the thing is, we are given the free will, okay? And either we use it or we don't. And it's all on us. Each person is given that choice, and either you take it or you don't. And I will give knowledge to people, but I can't force them to choose it, right? So all I can do is live my life, and hopefully someone sees the way I live my life and says, you know what? She's crazy, or she's funny, or she's dork, or whatever, but I like her, and I want to be more like her. And maybe I'll make somebody change the way they think. I don't know. Because I had 4 sisters. We're all different. I can tell you that right now. And a few people that have gotten to meet my other sisters know that we're all different. But boy, I tell you, it's tough being in one room with 4 others of me. You know, very overwhelming. But the thing is that we all have to live our lives that we're handed for whatever reason. And it's up to each of us to figure out what it is that we're supposed to do with our lives. You know what I mean?
That's
and who
right.
we're supposed to do it with. So when you meet someone special, and it may be at the most inconvenient time in your life, and you have no idea why this person's even here. You know, why am I having to deal with this person? But for some reason, they're there for a reason. I believe every person you meet in your life, they're there for a purpose. It's either they're not accepting the purpose yet, or you are not accepting it. So you can't do it by yourself, because if that person's supposed to be there and they're not doing their part, then it's not time for them yet. It may be your time, and you might move on past that person to something better or a new choice, simply because the other person wasn't willing to open up yet. But we're all given it. It's just whether or not we're going to open our eyes or our hearts up to it or not at that moment. And we'll see what happens, you know, because I'm not perfect. And I'm constantly going, God, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? And that's one of my downfalls, because I constantly degrade myself. And that's one of the things I work on myself, because I know I do that. And people go, I can't believe you'd say that about yourself. You know, you're pretty, you're this, you're that. And I go, yeah, you might think that. But when you have a beautiful blonde sister next to you, you don't always win. You know, when you're a brunette, you know, that type of thing. So, you know, I've had good and bad, but we all have, you know what I mean? We've all been through something.
And we are our own worst judge. Mm-hmm. You know that, right? We judge ourselves the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We are. And especially artists, people who demand the top-notch quality from ourselves. You know, the very best. Why didn't I see that? Why didn't I fix that? Why? You know, you're constantly asking yourself that. You know, how come I make so many mistakes? When you look at other people and you put them on a pedestal because you think they're so smart, And they're saying the same thing to themselves. Damn, why did I do that? But we don't see that part in other people. But the thing is, the only way you find out these things is because you made a decision today to talk to that person. Like what was it last week when I got to meet 2 new people that I never would have met if I hadn't been invited to a space that you guys were having. See, and I got to meet other people that were in that space, and they were all talking and interested in finding out more about, certain things. And I wouldn't have gotten that if I hadn't met you or hadn't met you. You see what I mean? So it all interconnects, and we have to take what we can from it and try to use it for the benefit of ourselves and other people around us. And as long as we're doing that, then to me, we're doing the right thing.
Right. Well, I'm very blessed for the people that I've met along my journey this last couple of years, and I've told you, we met amazing people.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm surrounded right now by the smartest people I've ever been around.
Ditto.
The most open-minded I've ever been around, and all of them have great relationships with themselves, and the ones that are married are in great marriages, and it's just a really healthy group to be around. I've been real grateful from what I've gotten out of all the work I've been doing, for sure. It made losing my dad a lot softer. I was busy and I was getting surrounded by people that reminded me of him. He was a real smart, peaceful, loving dude like that.
Yep.
Well, we've been going at it for over 2.5 hours.
That's
I know
true.
I did talking tonight, but I can't help it.
It's okay.
I just get really, on a tangent or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I want you to keep me updated on what's going on, the website or whatever the information is, and we'll see.
Yeah, who's doing the website? Chris?
What?
I don't know.
Who's doing the website?
Lance has all that.
Does he have it already? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Matter of fact, he wanted us to do a little something to put on a page about it.
Oh.
Don't you ever call Lance? Might be a good idea if you did.
Just throw me out on Front Street like that, Chris. Right on, bravo. I actually texted him tonight, but we know how he feels about texting, so but he didn't respond, so
yeah. Yeah, maybe call it.
Yeah, once you get anything set up, let me know.
Oh, and, I will.
Well, I love doing these with you. The Thursday night shit show. It's awesome.
I know. It was team shit show because we're a team.
Right, and I can't wait to hold up the bottle like in a month and a half.
I can't either. I can't wait because I got to see you before. You got all of the stuff worked out, and as your progression has gone along, I think it's been wonderful. And I've only shared stuff when I was able to, and
I need to bring Lance
talk about it right now. I said, okay, I won't say nothing. But
I'm like, let's talk about it, Shannon.
I know, it's great. I think it's awesome. And I'm so proud of you guys. I really am. I mean, you just don't have a clue yet. Once this gets out and you get more and more people giving you feedback and you see how many people's lives you're going to affect, that's when you are going to start seeing.
That's probably when I'll sit down and cry even harder. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be great. I just know it. I just really have a feeling about it. And I've talked about it to my sisters and stuff, about how excited I am about you getting to see this come full circle. And I'm real excited about that part of it. That's exciting. That's what's going to be good. And your kids, when your kids get to see it, all that, they're going to realize Mom really isn't crazy.
Right? Well, no, I am.
No, you know what I mean.
But not like cray.
But they're going to say, wow, Mom, it's amazing. I mean, and that's a good thing, when you get to have your kids come and hug you and say, Mom, you're awesome. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah, I know. Right. When you do something for humanity like that, it's a lot. It touches your heart in a way that no money, nothing could ever replace that feeling.
Nope. Mm-mm. That's what I said. There are things in life that money can't buy.
Mm-mm. Yep, there is.
And until you are confronted with something like that, with something you cannot buy with money, like true love. You can't buy true love with money.
No, you can't.
That's something you earn in your life. And you should not just hand it over nilly, you know, like it's nothing, because it's worth something. That's you. That's your being. And don't just give it to anybody. You deserve
well said.
the very
well said.
best. So we have to hang on and stick together and be there for each other. That's what we have to do. I really do believe that. I think that there's they call it in the group that I'm in, they call it the fellowship, basically. It's a group of people that no matter what, we try to be there for each other and let each other be who we are, basically. And I like that. Maybe that's why I feel like I fit in with them, because I've always felt like, you know, they're kind of nerdy. Some of them are sporty, you know, they're funny, they're fun to be with, and they just let you be yourself. And I wish more people could find out what that's like.
Right.
And that's what I try to share. I try to say that all the time. I said, just be you. And if you can't be yourself with those people, maybe you're with the wrong people, you know? So.
Okay. My phone was dying. I did charge it though, Chris.
That's all right. Okay. But I just want to say thank you to you guys, for you and Dawn, for hanging out with me, Chris. And
Thank you for having us.
And I'm so thankful I've got to meet you guys. I'm so thankful to get to watch you guys on this weird roller coaster ride that you've been on. And me getting to be a part of it by doing a few spaces with you, have you on the show, getting you to share a bunch of these interesting facts of things that you've been doing and how you went about doing it. I just think it's awesome. And I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the next 4 years for our country. You know what I mean?
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're in an exciting time. Thanks, Janet. You know, I love doing these.
I appreciate you guys, and I want to say thank you to everybody who's been hanging out in the chat, because you guys have been really chatty in there. I've been trying to share
I've seen
it, but
some of the messages coming across.
I know it's hilarious. I got some great people in my chat. I mean, they're really good people, and a lot of them are members of the fellowship. I have to say that. But I just want to say hi to all of you guys, and thank you for hanging out with us tonight. And hopefully I'll see you this weekend. A bunch of you guys. Tomorrow night will be the Friday Night Shit Show and have a panel. We'll be talking about all kinds of random stuff that's going on. And then Saturday, I'll be playing another game with Bruce, is my, my DM basically, and the rest of my team. So we'll be fighting and
wait a minute,
trying
are you
to
playing
defend
video
ourselves.
games?
No, it's a DD. It's like Pathfinder. It's where we roll dice and we move our characters around on the board in our imagination, because we have a DM that does it, and we do it live. We play live on the internet.
Cool.
And then Sunday, we're going to be watching the movie Addams Family, and I'm going to be dressed up in character for the movie. So we'll have to wait and see who I'm going to dress up as. But it's going to be a lot of fun. We always have a good time on the weekend. My weekends are already booked every weekend, because I get to spend it with Bruce and Six Nations. He'll be in there with us doing the movie and stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's fun.
So if you guys want to hang out, just keep watching my timeline, because I try to share as much as I can on there about what's going on. And tomorrow, if there's anything going on with any of the confirmation hearings, I'll be doing live stream on Rumble and probably LinkedIn and X, because YouTube is just, too much of a stickler about who's talking about what and what channel I might go back and forth to, because I go from 4 or 5 different channels, depending, because I don't like all the commercials, or if they have a lull and they're taking a break or whatever. So I've been talking about showing stuff about the fires and the winter storm down all the coast and different stuff like that. So it's just, trying to keep people updated on what's going on. And then next week, when Kash Patel gets to go for his confirmation, I'm definitely going to have that aired, because that's going to be a good one. And I'm excited about watching it. But you guys have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much for hanging out. And I hope you guys like my outro with Kid Rock, because I think he's freaking cool.
Yeah,
I think he's cool too.
See you guys later.
All right. Have a good night. Bye. Bye, Chris. Bye.
First off, let me convey to my family, friends, and supporters that now is not the time to gloat. We must remember that most of our left-leaning friends are good people who want the same things in life as we do, but simply think differently on how to get there. It is now time to be the bigger man, to extend an olive branch and unite all reasonable people of this great nation. God has blessed America, and together with President Trump, we will make America great again.